What's up, everyone? You guys
Well
scripting now.
presented
Today's the day
last
off.
night, Ben. Just a little unreasonable last
I
night.
have no idea when Ken's gonna
Tommy,
know.
you think Tommy was the problem last night with the bill? Because my thing is like, I don't.
I'm back. What's up? What's up? You were talking
Oh.
about the sniper stuff?
Yeah. No, but I see what Dill's saying. Dill, I think you're talking about this, and like, yeah, like I hear you on this. If you guys don't want this, you don't want this. Like that's the whole point. Like, it's not like forced upon you. But there's people that you want as an advisor process, like take advantage of it. You know, I just wanted to account for that in some way because people have brought that all the time in this conversation. I bet we're in TeamSpeak. I might have to drag you in the channel though. Anyway, JP, I was talking about the snipers. Like, snipers thing still confused me last night because, like, I don't, at least how the argument was presented to Tom, like, I don't really think it was presented like effectively. Like, I don't think I left that conversation from what I saw last night of like, I'm
Yeah,
super convinced of the sniper GA
I was
hits.
catching up a little bit on the conversation. Like, I was kind of like listening to the stream while I was at the gym, but I do agree with like the certain like protocol shit 100%. Like, I agree with, but I don't know. I feel like it's hard for me because I'm not a player, so I'm not in tune with that. But I realize like the impact it can have. I'm just saying like the precedent was set in Vanguard that we had it. But I mean, I guess maybe the argument for them basically was the maps. But I don't know. It felt really reactionary to me. I could definitely see it on protocol. Like if we allowed it, and it would for sure still be banned on protocol. I can 100% agree with that.
I just thought they like picked a rewind example, and I feel like that's like it was like the worst example of a lane and like a point because it's like that is counterable. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
DMs. I'm gonna give it to you right now, Dilhan. Dylan's getting in here. Let me drag him in here once he gets in here because this is a lock channel. Bill, I sent the password to you, so just I'll drag you in once you're in. Yeah, I just felt like that, like the lane they chose is like a bad lane because like then that one in particular is like there's so many ways to cross that, like cross those pillars. There's so many ways you could take that chow with different people. There's like, you know what I'm saying, like that is like one of those like things you can counter. What's good, Dill?
What's going on, man?
I just think that this whole like right now, like what you're proposing, unfortunately, isn't realistic at the moment with like the players. And I mean, Dill could probably agree, but I do agree with trying to organize it more for sure. I just don't know right now if it's realistic.
Yeah, I think my two thoughts that I was just gonna say on it is that one, the meetings thing, I think they tried to do in the past. I'm not even in there this year, but I think it's like
Hey,
a
what's up,
valid
Chris's
point that
game?
you should be talking
Or
about
Chris
it.
with game, sorry.
But like a lot
Appreciate
of the
the
stuff,
sub for
like
3
it
months.
takes literally like days and weeks for people to test, just
Yeah.
to even try it in a scrim, which is very unproductive for sure. But then also like every year there's CDL mandatory meetings. Every year there's rep meetings that happen, and a lot of the times people make it to the reps make it all to the meetings, like all 12 reps are there. But most of the CDL meetings, I'd say you're lucky sometimes if like half the people are there. So like I feel like it's just hard to get people on board, like not on board because they should be on board. Like literally some of that stuff is mandatory, but
I literally I think Sam was saying it last night, but I literally think it has to be some CDL mandated thing. Like if you don't do it, you get fined or some shit. That's the only reason, or the only like way I actually think it gets legit like
better
motion and better. Yeah.
So a couple things on that front. If you're talking about you're talking about like CDL meetings where, it's like all hands and it's just like an informational meeting on just stuff for the season.
Yeah, for sure. But it is
Yeah.
mandatory, and there's people that go every year and there's people that just don't.
And it's like a Zoom call or some shit, or sometimes like a.
So it's just principle. I'm just saying it's principle.
Yeah, because I was about to say like there's a difference between that and like this, which is like the idea is that like
What's up, Minnie?
You know, the teams would select someone that could theoretically punctuality like exist, and it's not proposed in here, but like I know JP, we talked about it when we were making this like last week, of like, well, we can account for if people just don't show up. You know what I'm saying? Then their vote doesn't fucking count. Like they weren't there. That is really disappointing though, like that people can't grow up and like make themselves available. Now it's kind of Austin's big argument yesterday. It's like I just don't think you're gonna find time on a Monday or a Tuesday for people to do this. And that's why the process is what it is now, where it just like ramps up at fucking 1 p.m. before a fucking scrim because that's when people are on and talking to their boys. But that's also why the votes are like very stop start. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I even like towards the end of last year just got to that where I was just like trying to focus on my own game. I'm trying to, not worry about what's going on in the chat. Like
Yeah.
you get to a point where stuff is like not gonna change, or like there just isn't enough motion, like you're saying, to get these things to happen. And even Austin was saying like he doesn't like look at it much anymore, and I feel like a lot of the reps just don't because I don't know, it's dictated by a couple teams, or a couple teams say their votes and then people follow. A couple
That's
people
how,
debate.
but that's how politics works. Like, look at like any deliberative body. Like, there are backbenchers and there are people that like
Yeah, this is
kind of
talking about the
speak for
GA
blocks
chat.
of votes. Like, that's just kind of how it works. I don't think that is. I kind of see where we're coming from with that, but I feel like that's a minor issue in all of this. If
Yeah, for
people
sure.
feel like their votes don't count, I don't quite understand it because every vote is the same and has the same weight. Um, I think a part of this conversation that's kind of confusing to me, and I'm curious your thoughts still, is like maybe some players don't realize the knockdown effects of the decisions that are made in this DM group, right? It not only affects the game that you guys play, but those changes are subsequently rolled out to either the effective, like actual CDL rules or GAs they fold into rank play. So it affects, thousands,
I
tens
can
of
tell you
thousands of
for
people
sure
that
they do
play.
not give a fuck.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I
I
figured. They
mean,
just don't care about that knockdown effect. But go ahead, Dell.
Yeah.
I was gonna say there's like a couple things, but one is like
What's good,
I think
Clem?
they were talking about last night where when stuff gets GA'd, it's hard for like the league to bring it back in. Like I think it varies year to year, but like when stuff gets gone in ranked play, it's never coming back into like the competitive. I think that is like one big issue of the GAs that we have going on
Yeah,
right now.
Ken's the optic rep this year. Chat.
And I forgot what
Yeah.
else I was gonna say, but I know that's a big one
Why
where
is
if
Kenny
something
gonna
gets
crash
GA'd,
out? I
like
don't know.
there's a good chance it's just never
He
gonna be
just
able to
said he
come
was
back
gonna
in,
crash
and
on
it's
Twitter
not up to the
Souls. Yeah.
pros or whatever. And then when you comes to title updates and stuff like that. Oh, and the other thing I was gonna say is that when you bring in outside parties, like I was kind of messaging in the
Yeah.
chat, you have to actually like do a lot of research and bring in the right people because I don't think coaches should be allowed to be in there. One, but then I need someone that plays the game enough and understands what's going on to like be that advisory board or whatever you were gonna call it
Yeah,
because
the way I think of it is like if you had coaches, they're just gonna go to the players and be like, do you guys want this shit in or not? Like what's the best for our team? Do you guys
I
want
think
it in? And you know
So
what I
I
mean?
think I think the coach angle on this existing coach angle is that like I didn't with the way that this is structured, teams would have a representative, and it's possible that some teams may choose their coach to be their representative in that chat. Like think about like Falcons, for example. I don't know how comfortable the players on the team are wading into the politics of this type of shit. And they may elect, at least maybe in the beginning, to have someone like Clay or Luti who's familiar with the process to represent them. But I
Oh,
totally
okay.
hear
So
you guys.
the team representative is just a player or coach, probably going to be a player regardless. But there's no like
Yeah.
extra body of coaches, right?
No,
Oh, okay,
I
that's okay.
because
that
I
makes
feel like
sense.
coaches are also inherently biased in this
Yeah,
process.
yeah,
Now,
that's kind
Yeah, I
of
now
where I was
if
going
there
at
are
too.
team coaches like that you think, and that's the whole point that you guys think as a group are like can be very subjective. And the point of the advisory board is to really just kind of help mediate the conversation, especially early in the season when those first 2 weeks, right? Like the first 2 weeks of the game comes out. You guys
Chat,
play
the call
launch
is
tournaments on
BenJ and
CMG for 3 days.
Envoy.
And there's another
Dylan
like
Envoy.
week and a half of like Activision sponsored launch tournaments. And scrims don't really start until like after that period in earnest. So like about 2 weeks go by before you guys really kind of dig into shit. And that is a time when like, the retired fucking heads, like the eights,
Hey,
those
Gio,
eights
appreciate
guys,
the
like
sub
they
with
actually
Prime.
end up
Thank
playing
you.
a lot. Those guys sit there and they played map after map for 5 or 6 hours. Now, if you trust those people, they'll test shit. They can be very useful in this. I see it as a tool. I'm saying if you guys want to take advantage of it in this theoretical process, you do. If you don't, you don't. And
Yeah.
it could be anyone that you guys trust. It's not going to be like forced upon you.
I think it's a good reasoning with like the eights, like a lot of the old heads playing at the beginning of the year, but like what do you do when it hits middle of the year, end of the year when no one is playing the game, let alone Like half the pros aren't even playing like middle of the year. I don't think the old heads will be playing 8s, testing it out for us. So
I think you can still find at worst 3 people that are still
Hey, what's good? Hey,
playing the game
Cortez.
consistent
The
enough
banana
that
pudding was
you can
absolutely
trust them to
insane.
help advise
That and
and
there was an
mediate that
apple tart thing
conversation.
we had with
You
some
know what I'm
vanilla
saying? Because
ice
I think they're
cream.
gonna ask the right questions still.
I'm just saying
I
the
think they're
workout I
going
had
to
this morning
probe in
was
the right way
godlike.
so that you guys like meaningfully, because part of the issue is like you guys don't meaningfully, I think, have a deep enough discussion on these issues. It's not to say again that your compass is right or wrong. I just think like with the sniper stuff, like it seemed like there wasn't a real conversation. The conversation was yesterday. It was the first time it was a real conversation. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
And
for
just
sure.
because, and I hear you, it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like people aren't, you know, someone like Sam's a great example, right? Like Sam is going to play this game fairly nonstop until fucking champs, probably until the offseason hits. Like he's going to probably play rank play for 7 to 8 hours a day. Like he'll play 8s when they're available, wagers, you know, creator tournaments. Like, and I think Sam is someone that is smart enough that like in this setting would ask like the right questions. And if
Yeah,
someone's point of Sam's also on Earth Thieves, I also think that Sam checks the box as somebody that's just, you know what I'm saying? Like he's not going to give a shit about that. Like he's going to in that convo, like, you know, the point of that board is to try and expose all sides of the conversation and make sure all the boxes are checked, you
yeah.
know, before like something's voted upon.
I mean,
I
I
don't know how
team
you
with
feel about
Sam though.
that though.
Well, I team with Sam too, and I don't wanna actually say what he's thinking, but I assume that some of his takes now compared to what he playing are vastly different. And I think just as I mean, once you retire, I mean, you're basically I mean, he's a creator, you know, first and a supporter of the league and like everything that's going on. But he's also a fan, you know, he wants to see like the snipers, he wants to see the
Don't do it,
smokes, the cool
radiation. Do
plays.
not do
So
it. I dare you not to do
I don't
it.
know how you're supposed to differentiate like someone that actually is like trying to make the game best for competitive compared to like what you're just like watching it from a viewing standpoint because I think from a viewing standpoint, I mean, we'd all love to have like snipers in and you know smokes and like crazy specialists, whatever it may be, you know, like field upgrades. But from a competitive standpoint, some of it just is just too out there. I think not the snipers, but just in general.
So that gets to an issue that I didn't cover in this deck, and I wasn't really sure how to tackle because it's again is like when you get to the point if you were to do this right and you actually like put pen to paper of how it works at some level, like it may be helpful to have some kind of like 3 or 4 values that you guys try to hit when it regards to like trying to tackle these restrictions, right? Like what are the boxes that science to check? You don't necessarily need it. Like you can leave it up to interpretation. But to your point, like if you add that, like here are 3 values that are gonna like dictate per season how we want to handle this, that would, you know, kind of help to your point of understanding the line between like what is fun to watch, but what is also just cheese and makes the game random. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
snipers, for example, like obviously it's fun to watch when people fucking rip snipes. But when you could, you know, when they're OP and you can't fucking mess with them, I understand. But in a game like this, when you get hit with one bullet and you have a fucking sniper and your shit climbs, or like, you know, a number of the other reasons that were highlighted last time, like that GA doesn't really make sense.
yeah.
But
The snipers are always a hard one to be honest with you.
they are really hard. Yeah. I don't, that one is so, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I think from the pro standpoint, I think you know you could say what you want about the maps and stuff like that. I think generally, like S&D plays pretty good, like in a lot of the games, like year to year. I might be I don't know. Maybe people don't think the same. I think there isn't much of a difference, like competitive wise, besides from a fan viewing perspective. That S&D like plays bad without snipes. That's the
Mm.
problem. Like if S&D was like horrible, like oh my god, like this map's so hard without a snipe, like to win like an offense or a defense, like then I feel like it'd be more allowed compared to like now where it's like yeah you can punish the sniper, but a lot of the pros will just say that the game's just as competitive without one, if not more competitive. So why would you put it in? But I understand the snipe thing. Like I said, it's a complicated one.
but it goes the other way. If it's not busted, then why would you remove it?
I mean, yeah,
Uh,
then it goes down to bias.
yeah, as I'm saying, like, and then that just comes
The
down to
teams.
like you just that you know teams just don't feel comfortable that like once that's in play that they're going to be able to effectively like manage the strategy and the flow of the map because they don't feel like they can either roll their own sniper or effectively counter snipes. Even though I personally think like, you know, it's not that OP that there is plenty of utility and like teamwork available to like, you know, get shit out.
I mean, yeah,
Um
we literally play with it at the the K-Sun event versus
Yeah.
JP's team, and
Yeah.
like some maps the sniper was good, some maps they weren't, and like you could definitely counter it. I
Oh
think it's
yeah.
just
I mean, like I'm not gonna lie, Skyline Scrap was just having our shit, but like we never faced a sniper that was not missing against us, so we didn't know what the fuck to do with that. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like,
I mean
like,
that's
look,
just how a snipe is though. Every game, if the sniper's not missing, the game just becomes ultimately really really hard. Which you gotta tip it to that team that has the good sniper, whoever has the hot
yeah.
hand.
as I'm saying, if someone gets hot with a sniper, I mean, you've seen it in the history of COD, right? Those simp clips, or what Brandon's done in the past, what Ben Beans is doing during one of our tournaments where he was going off on a red card search, not missing. Like, you got to tip it when people are just on it and know how to address. But it
Yeah.
also goes the other way. Like, you know, if you do, you can say they like have 2 snipers on the map, and it's hypothetical. I know you guys don't want to play one sniper. Like, bro, if you're on offense and you can find a way to like take control of a site quickly and quick bomb plan, they're gonna retake with 2 snipers. Like, GG's. Like, they either gotta kill you and then start picking guns off the ground to have a chance, or you just play cruddy enough that like they're gonna burn so much time because how slow they have to play. I just think in this game, I don't want to like dictate the sniper thing too much because I think got litigated last night. But like, I feel like that was an example of like if someone had actually sat in like a 20 or 30-minute meeting and talked it out, I think there would have been more than 3 representatives that would have been like, maybe we really don't have enough ammo to actually remove this. And maybe we should play with them more before we actually decide to remove it. Maybe we should play a whole stage and see how it goes.
Yeah,
before
at
we
least
think,
for the
like,
sniper thing, I was like, I would have rather at least seen something develop like meta wise for it to eventually be like, okay, this shit's really bad. But I guess people don't want to like chalk an entire stage because like it would just be OP if it ends up being OP.
I mean,
But
I went on about that last year, where it's like, or maybe 2 years ago, where I ranted about the pros not wanting to test like DDoS and stuff like this. I mean, maybe
oh
I'm just
yeah,
speaking really out
no,
there, like,
you were facts about that last year.
but it's
Sure.
the problem is like you agree with whoever you're scrimming with, yo, let's test this, but then you're literally 2 out of the 12 teams testing that day. So then,
and then you waste practice by basically using something that you're not gonna end up using anyways, and
yep,
oh,
and then you
then
try to convince
people
everyone
start
else
getting it more
to,
ahead because they don't have to use it and shit like that. So
I think
I
this
see it.
this gets to something, not to digress too much, but this is going to bring up an interesting topic that I'm curious your thoughts, Dale. This gets to, I think, a crux of a lack of value that I think has hurt you guys as professional players, not just in the CDL era, but the years prior. Of like, there's a lot of self-interest and team interest in keeping your spot in the ecosystem, and not enough like forward thinking that exists in some other esports or for professional athletes. And it's held you
Space, it
guys
would only
back
be one
from like
sniper allowed if it
discussing
were.
values like this, like creating a player association, collectively bargaining for rights. Like this lack of always looking out for your spot and thinking about the next month or two and not thinking about what's 5 years down the line, like, kind of hurts all these things. And I'm curious what you think about that.
I mean, I'd agree. I mean, I think like in a world where I'm done, I feel like I'd love to like be like part of the players association. I follow league. I mean, their player associations kind of, I think, dissolved a little bit in some of the issues with Riot, but
Yeah, because
I
it
mean,
was literally it was created by Riot, right? It's like one of those.
yeah, it has to be like sanctioned by the league, like, and everything.
Yeah,
Like, it has to
but
be
I think
supported by everything.
yeah.
And the
It was
problem with
founded
that
in
is that
2017 by Riot Games, according to their website. Go ahead.
what I was gonna say, like, I think, I mean, the biggest thing too is that people don't take into account is the players have to pay. Like that is how the Riot Association,
That's
the
how
league
any
association
union is
works.
gonna work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like the players have to pay, and you have to get every one of the players to sign off for us to start that. I think that's literally where it dead stopped last time. Clay got everything done. We got lawyers involved, or like whatever it's gonna do to make the union with the reps. And as soon as money brought up, I mean, it's just like all right, well, we got to pay, what is it, like a treasury, a president, like the basics of kind of what you were bringing up, like 3 people, you have to pay their salary for a year, whatever it may be. There's union dues.
So I talked to Clay, and I don't fully 100% remember the number. And if you did tell me, I probably shouldn't say it on stream. Like, the number wasn't that high.
Oh yeah, I don't even remember.
It
I'm
was
just
it,
saying money involved. So
it was like, if I remember, it was like high 3 figures, super low 4 figures. Because you scale it out to like 48 players plus,
hmm.
and like it covers the like salary or part-time salary costs for those 3 elements. It did what from my understanding, what it came down to is always to your point is like it didn't have 100% participation and large individuals. People were saying Seth and Seth talked about this like that. Didn't really see the upside here. Didn't want to contribute and then deal with the PR ramifications of said thing. But as you've seen, that decision. The
The
Black
call is
Orange
BenJ
organization beyond the
and
GA
Envoy,
process
by the way,
has
chat.
hurt you guys long term, right? Salaries have been depressed, rights have been depressed. I've seen a CDL contract. Like there are things that if you guys had been at the table in 2017, 2018, they wouldn't be in that document. There are things that are in that document that shouldn't be in there that are never enforced by the league. And you guys are very lucky because a lot of you would be getting in fucking trouble on some of the clauses that are in there.
Yeah.
Teams have some abilities to remove players from roster or choose not to pay them that they don't exercise because they don't want the fucking PR hassle.
Yeah,
but
like
you
the
guys are
whole
signing-
like 2-week non-guaranteed thing after or something. Like
Yeah,
with
but
the
that's-
union, there's
that-
no
that-
way that shit's getting.
Well, so that one is interesting because the original contract's fully, for most people, fully guaranteed, and then the owners pushed back heavily after that first year. They came back. I think the original was 30, and then y'all pushed back a little bit. That was when the second, if I remember correct, Dale, that was the second time you guys had tried to make a PA because the first time was like World War II. The second
I
time
wasn't
was
around.
at 2020 when that issue came about because that pissed everybody off. Because people had cashed in on the LAG situation and a bunch of other ones. Seattle had like let people go and people had gotten their full pay. And then like when that new structure was presented, which I think it was presented publicly before it was even said to the players, I think you all got pissed. And like that was when Clay started talking to people about getting it done again, but it never went anywhere, obviously. That, you know what I'm saying? Like that gets to the point of like, I don't understand when like presented with something like this, like there isn't like, maybe like once this is sort of disseminated more and people kind of like digest this and they really like take time to think about it over the course of this week, people actually kind of see the wisdom of it. But like this process that I'm proposing, like really isn't that different from what you guys do now. It just,
Yeah.
what you do
course.
now with someone taking fucking notes and someone tweeting out like the decisions.
I think just to get this to happen, I mean, like when we did it with Clay, like we tried to get all the players on board. I think it has to be like an Activision-led thing, which I think is very, very unlikely, knowing how
I
Activision is, and then like the league has to go through. It's not like we just go to the league and say, hey, like, we want a players association. Who needs to sign where? It's like these things have to go up to like literally the public company, and I think some of their interests and some of ours are not aligned, especially, and that's why you see a lot of I mean, for the first couple of years of the league, the salary caps were in a big
yeah,
lawsuit
that's
happened
where
with
the
that.
collective
Like,
bargaining process just starts, I guess.
So the salary process. Okay, so a couple things. On the Activision side about this convo, I am going to speak with Spencer and Daniel this week. I wanted to get this in front of the coaches first and just red team it a little bit more and see if there's any other edge issues I didn't consider once more people get more eyes on it.
Yeah,
and
this
then I was
is
going to
on
kind
Envoy
of
chat. Dylan,
send to
Envoy.
Spencer and Dan so they can like circulate on their side and kind of see where's their ability to help, oversight this process. Because for example, like, you guys are gonna laugh, but like, Spencer could do the chairman role, Dana could do the chairman role, like, you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
They're mature enough to make that work, right? Give me Alex to do it. I don't really care. Any one of those guys is qualified enough to do it. But I don't know from an Activision legal standpoint and other political issues they can or can't do it. I think the other thing here is that I've talked to people at CDL about this and kind of associated issues. Back in the day, and JP, you probably remember when you were at MLG, like GAs were like don't ask, don't tell, even at MLG. Like Adam and Rami and Spencer like understood that it
they just
happened.
didn't want to be a
But,
part of
like,
it. Like you want to do whatever you do, you do whatever. Like
it was like a huge like taboo thing with the business unit, with like Carlton and them who were kind of Activision oversight at that
was
point.
that mainly
like,
a dev thing?
I think everybody was just afraid of that conversation. Yeah.
I mean, I think with a lot of things in like the league though, back in CWL days, that were just like you just don't talk about. You just don't. Like when I came in the league, there's plenty of stuff you just don't talk about, and now it is publicized everywhere.
Yeah.
Everyone, whether joked about or like as serious as can be.
So, Ben, with this process, is it like it's still a vote, right? But do you have to like give a specific reasoning, or is there anything different like that with that, or is it just okay? One one person promotes their idea, another person seconds, and then there's just a vote. It's not like we vote X because Y or whatever. It's like it's still just a vote after the two people bring up their arguments.
Here's how I think it would go down. Like in an ideal world, you would say, hey, like I want to remove the SOG. It needs to be second, otherwise people would just be putting crazy shit to a vote because they can. Like then there's a debate, and I didn't want to really get into in this presentation like the structure of the debate. I think like really like trying to hem down how much people can talk and shit like that. If you guys want to add that structure, you add that structure. It doesn't need to be fucking Congress, right? Where everybody gets fucking 10 minutes to give a speech or whatever. Like, and they can waive their time to someone else. Like, I don't know. You want that, you want that. But motion, second, debate, and then a vote. And then obviously you go through like once stuff is temp restricted, you go through like the circular, like for trial period process. I try to solve for all issues here of like your point earlier, Envoy, like if something gets fixed and it just sucks now and it shouldn't be fucking banned, like
is there like a minimum, you have to play 3 scrims before you can vote or something, or not necessarily?
I'm again, I didn't address that in here, but like if that is something that the professional players feel like is necessary,
I was
just
bringing it up.
I think it's a good idea.
I didn't want to wade too much. Maybe I should make it more clear in here. Like, I didn't really want to wade too much into like the real edge contours and edge issues of what the theoretical like charter or binding agreement of this committee would look like. I wanted to just kind of address like the core goals and the core functionality, and like if there is sub rules or sub procedure that like the players wanted to add as part of the process, like so be it, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't want to, you know what I'm saying? Like you can get nitty with it. Like we can go full fucking House of Representatives on this shit, or it could be a little bit more informal. You know?
I think there would be a need to be a minimum just because people will play one map and just say, oh, that's bullshit, or we lost the map. Like,
yeah, literally.
Get it out. And I think another key issue right now that I think no one talked about last night is that you could use whatever you want. You like GAs wise, there hasn't been punishment for GAs in literally years. People have literally used like GA attachments, like I can't remember of other things, but I remember the F8 when Ant used it in Vanguard, there was no repercussions. There was snaking, like when you snake 3 pumps, 4 pumps, I mean, there's no repercussion. People were snaking in scrims all day last year. They still scrimmed every single day.
Wasn't there what was the whole thing with Seattle last year?
Yeah, I mean, Seattle, they got blacklisted once, right?
It was just once though, right?
Well, and then they continue to do it, and then they didn't get blacklisted because people are like, "Oh, I gotta practice."
Like it's this dark cloud hanging over everyone. But like, do you think actually like that people would not scrim?
I promise you, Bruce could pull up in 2 weeks, snipe in the first 2 matches, and there would be no blacklisting that would happen, even if the snipers never got GA'd. Because one, again, like just you're saying about like the GAs was never talked about. I mean, we were supposed to never talk about blacklisting people during CWL because it was just very frowned upon from a competitive and just league standpoint. But there's no really way to enforce these without like
that was the other thing I was thinking of. Like, let's say your team, Dylan, like let's say you guys get blacklisted. Do you really think one of the bottom teams is going to chalk the scrim they could have had versus you guys and play an AM team instead?
Yeah, like it just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. And the thing is if it's our 2 teams, and it's like, well, I mean, you'll be down to scrim me probably too because you don't want to.
Yeah, fuck it. Let's both use snipers and then we'll just scrim each other.
Yeah, like you could actually get the GAs reverted just by using it because there's literally nothing. There's no punishment. There isn't.
So your point, like Seattle last year, there was the single tap accusations against Abuza.
People are still using that.
The double, which didn't get talked enough about the scene. Like you guys want a huge inquest and private messages about teams in the run up to qualifying for champs for using single tap. It's really funny. Anyway, but there was the double smoke thing, which one of the situations I think with Kyler was just lack of awareness on the map. Like I feel like that would have been a harsh punishment to go at them for that. But there were times where people blatantly threw a second smoke on the map.
Oh, let's go, chat. I think
to your point in all these things, no one really has a strong sense of fraternity here. Your point, Dylan. So there's no self-enforcement of the culture of how these things should run. And like sports is not a great example because that fraternity has been instilled over 100 years of competition. And you guys have only been at it for what? 15 maybe, and then structured a lot less than that. But that lack of trying to look out for each other and look out for like the small group of top level individuals that you guys are like is, to your point, like nothing's stopping all top teams from just saying fuck this GA, we're just gonna do it. Like what are people gonna do, not want to scrim you guys? You want that prac?
Yeah, I mean, I promise you, if the 3 teams said that they're gonna snipe, like, what are you going to do? You're not gonna play the map versus them without a snipe. Like, you're gonna have to conform to whatever people are using. I mean, it might as well be like BO3 where instead of like banning protecting, I mean, every team uses their own meta. You're gonna have to try to figure it
I
out.
would actually like to see if some team actually did that shit.
I mean, it's like AW. Like, what are you gonna do when TR pulls out a thermal LMG?
Yeah,
Like,
it starts on uplink and just starts shooting the ball spawn.
we talk about. Sorry.
No, finish your thought. Finish
I
your
would
thought.
say we talk about pros not being able to adapt. That's why we GA things. Let's just have a team just use whatever they want, man. We'll see who can actually adapt, like in the match. While it's going down, who can make a better class mid-match?
Yeah, that would actually be so hilarious.
So let's
to
talk
watch.
about
That would be
to
so
that point,
funny.
like
Oh,
back,
dude, I'd
to
be in
that
hell.
point, like back in AW, for example, like you would have to before every series really go through 2 or 3 items that like you would talk to teams about whether or not was allowed or not allowed. Like the thermal LMGs, like there's a bunch of shit that was not a universal GA, but like existed between teams, and that is kind of for the most part gone away in some instances. But like someone brings up a good point, like esports World Cup. I'm curious still, like your thoughts last year with single tab, not just amongst the pro teams that attended the event, but also like the amateur teams that were in the groups. Like I assume that you guys just assumed that some of the people you were playing early were running single tab, right?
Yeah, but I mean, if we're being honest, the AM teams are god awful. I mean, you can. I mean, they have like their moments and stuff, but did any of
Yeah.
them advance at Esports World Cup?
One of them did.
No.
I
No,
think
none of them
might
did.
be
most
faded.
of them were beat pretty swiftly. So
Yeah.
it's like,
Chat, we can't put monetary fines on breaking GAs because the league won't get involved with that.
Here's what it comes down to. The fraternity of players does not, this seems like y'all have a shattered culture of a fraternity. Like there is no, and maybe it's a top down problem, maybe it's a bottom up problem. I'm not really sure. Maybe like a lack of top level leadership of ownership of players on these top 4 teams that want to like still culture, and then it's just kind of carried on from generation to generation. Maybe that's the issue. Maybe it's the issue with the guys at the bottom. There's just too many people, and because they're willing to not give a shit, like design the top teams and top people want to do. But that's the key like issue with all of this. You know what I'm saying? Like that is the root problem. Like nobody wants to take ownership of the process, nor is there any process to take ownership of.
yeah.
So
Right,
maybe
but
that
the
should be
thing is,
solved
like,
because there's a lot of
no one's gonna actually pay the
mutual
committee, right?
benefits
If
for
they're not
virtually
like forced
everybody
to,
if
if they didn't
something is
sign
done.
something.
You know
I guess
what
you'd
I'm
have to
saying?
sign
Beyond just
something as
the
the
GA issue
part of the
on a
committee or
number of
something.
quality
Maybe?
life
I don't know.
improvements. That's why
But
I
again,
just
then
don't
I think it would have to
understand
be
with some
mandated by
players
the
on
league
top
at
teams.
that point.
You know,
I
I've
don't know.
talked
I don't know
to.
how would work.
I'm curious. Ken's gonna get on in about an hour, so I'm curious what Ken thinks because I actually really trust Ken's opinion. He's been on like these trend-setting teams for a large majority of his career. But like I've talked to the phase guys,
Tom,
and they're
Ben
very,
just said it like in an hour. He's gonna come
I
on.
think always kind of hesitant to.
He must have messaged him.
I see for top teams, and maybe you can back this up, Dill. The part of the downside to trying to like trend set this process is you feel like you get vilified by the community. You think that's like part of it? Like people just don't want to get the public fried part of it.
I think that's definitely like part of it. I don't think it's like the main reason, but it's definitely like over their shoulder for sure.
I mean, I think that's why like Octane got snipers back in Vanguard because he just used the public's opinion to help him, which I feel like is also like frowned upon by the GA chat itself. Like the GA chat tries to stay private at its best, but the public has definitely a huge influence on some players in there or just some players like in the league in general.
Yeah, I mean, so the sniper thing the first time around, like Sam obviously said fuck it, but like he also got cover from Nade. Like the reason that all kicked off is because Matt lost composure on Twitter and like then got like everyone in the community piled in at that point. Like Davis piled in, every outside influencer piled in, and like they just got community bullied. And like Austin talked about that last night. Like I kind of get that, but I also told Austin that's just like how any policy works just in any walk of life. So like you can't really, you know what I'm saying? If you don't want to deal with that, then you're just never going to make any movement on this issue ever. So it is what it is. I think it's weird because again, I just don't know if the pros understand how important the decisions they make on this are. Like how much it affects them and their teams, but also like the reason that the community feels strongly about this is because they're forced to play the same fucking way in rank play. They're forced to play the same way when stuff becomes formal, part of the rule set in challengers or becomes part of challengers GAs. Because they're trying to like stay in line. Like, it's just I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
I, th-
it
I
gets
think I think the
go ahead.
sniper stuff, like I said, is a very hard one. I think
I
snipers will
agree with
just
Tyrese.
benefit the fan
As
side
long as there's balance in
exponentially
the
every single
guns,
year.
I
I think when it
I
comes down
love the
to
gun and
ARs and
protect
subs
shit.
sometimes though, I
Only
feel
with the
like
guns though. Perk stuff
regardless if
was
guns
whack,
are
and attachment
better
stuff was
or
kind of whack.
worse, sometimes the pros I feel like just have a consensus that the game plays better with one or the other. The meta could be like say the Krig and the Sog were a viable meta. Like there still would be a world where the pros would choose using Jackal over Jackal and um Amez just because on like a playing standpoint it feels better. I don't know how else to explain it, but like some of the close calls are
Yeah.
like subject to just opinion at that point. That the game just plays better with a gun that kills in 5 bullets instead of 6 or 6 bullets instead of 5. Like that is where like I feel like super opinion comes in where between the pros and usually it's like it's unanimous where everyone agrees that the game plays better like this compared to that. That's a hard one to tackle compared to snipers where it's like snipers definitely being in every year is going to hurt or being out every year
Yeah.
is definitely going to hurt the community.
It's easy when you look at the Krieg and it's like, oh, it kills in 4 bullets every range. Got to fuck out of here. Like the data says this. And to your point, like, people always ask, like, why didn't you guys use the C9 or the KSG? And to your point, like, you know,
The
you,
Tanto, like what? No one wants to see the Tanto get used in competitive play. Like
Hmm.
it's I don't even think it's GA'd, but like it kills in 3 bullets,
3 bullets.
whatever.
I think it is right, or it's like banned or some shit. 3
Yeah.
bullets is
no,
fucking
it
crazy.
is actually banned in the CDL rule
Okay,
set.
yeah.
For
I'm
pros
saying
who
no
can
one
actually
would,
shoot straight, that shit's it would be disgusting. Like,
yeah, Kyler used it for a bit, but even me, bro, I use a sub all day. I don't want to use the Tanto. I promise you, it's not fun to use. It's not fun to watch. Not fun to
You,
die in 3 bullets.
you
So,
try to make a very similar gun work in Modern Warfare 2019. I remember you tried your fucking hardest.
oh wait, which one? Which one? The Uzi?
yeah, the
Yeah.
Uzi.
Yeah. I mean, back it was less strict then. We were all using damage mags and stuff. I mean, that's the thing too. Everyone changes each year. I think too. I mean, you have a lot of like new reps in there too that I think are like learning as they go. And when the teams shuffle, I mean, the whole rep chat shuffles to an extent. So, I mean, you like Austin's in there still now, but there's a time where he wasn't in there. Lamar isn't really involved anymore. I don't
How do you
think.
feel about Ben's idea of the
Unless he is
committee? I
first
think it's
team.
good in
Well, Austin,
theory.
to
I just
me,
don't know if
seems
it's
like
realistic with
he's
the players.
pretty jaded by this whole process now.
I
and
think
he
it
doesn't really
we
wanna
should
take
it should
ownership
be
of
more
it
structured.
anymore.
100%.
That was the sense I got from yesterday. Was like he agrees the process is broken. He super disagreed with some decisions last year and the lack of enforcement around like stair glitching. But he is so over just trying to fight for this shit over the course of like 8 or 9 years that like he is just
I mean,
completely checked out of.
that's how I felt a little bit too. Though I mean, I came in at BO4. I mean, me and Austin bashed heads a bunch in that chat, and I won some, I lost some. You won some, you lost some. But like, at least there was discussion. There's a lot. There's actually a lot of people in there that just straight up just don't discuss and just will come out of the blue and say, "Fucking my team's out," or my team
Yeah,
wants it in.
that was the more surprising thing that like when Ann or Ken would show us like the chat like before practice or something. That was the most surprising thing for me. Where it wasn't even like a back and forth with people that voted it out. It was just like, okay, we're out.
It's 5 people that are talking, 6 people that are talking, maybe sometimes, maybe less, and then the next 3 days is them adding them in the chat, begging them to respond, to just get it out so they know what rule set they're playing. So, I mean, your PowerPoint's trying to fix some of that issue, but it's just there has to the reps too. They have to be like one like Spence is going to try to choose people that have been in there for years or that have done it and then know what they're talking about.
Mm.
And then sometimes there's someone new that gets added that just has horrible takes or like
Yeah,
if we're being
no,
honest,
that's
just
fair.
has horrible takes or like what are you supposed to do when you get like a team of 4 rookies and they get in like and say the Falcons guys come in and like you said they're probably a little quieter, more
Well,
shy.
They're 1 of 12 votes. I mean, there's bad members of fucking Congress that just go and spit fucking conspiracy theories. Like,
Yeah,
it is what
yeah,
it
for
is.
sure.
It is what it is.
Yeah,
Like,
it is what it is. But that gets changed. Like, it doesn't get changed quick in the rep chat. But like the next year, it's like, okay, well, that person, I don't know.
We might have to
Yeah.
GA
I don't know
that
if the
person
was
in the chat.
contributing. Like,
I think, look, you're always going to have what I talk about. Like they talk about some politics called a term called backbenchers, and like those are like members of parliament or these, you know, of Congress that just don't really. They're not really outspoken. They're part
Apparently,
of like
Ken's
the
coming
rank
in
and
our
file of a
chat. That's
party.
what Ben was saying.
Their votes obviously count because every vote's the same, but they're not going to be out there like really furthering debate on an issue. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like there are people
fighting for it. Yeah.
Yeah, like people. I don't want to get. I'm just going to give practical, personal examples, chat. Like I don't want to discuss their individual politics, but like Trey, you mentioned like Marjorie Taylor Greene or like AOC. Like their role in their party is like in particular to further issues for their party. Like they get the conversation going, but like they're one of many votes. There's plenty of other people the same voting power whose names you don't fucking know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree to a
Again,
certain extent. Banksy. I think the only thing
but like
that
to the point of your
is
thing,
worrisome
like,
is
the
if
Falcons
those
are 1 of 12
players or
votes.
those people
And I
that are
don't think
playing
it's
the
a
game
super issue
aren't playing like
if there
halfway
are
through the year or
if
midway
only
through the
half
year.
the
Like
group is super outspoken.
they still need to be
and the
playing the
rest
game
are,
at a
like,
high
swayable
level to
votes. That's how
know
politics works.
if
That's
it can
how,
be, you know, restricted or not.
people kind of
And
like
I
clicks
completely
kind of
agree,
vote, and
JP.
like blocks are going to form, and that's okay.
We will
The
let
idea
you
is
onto the
that,
committee as
you know,
long as you come
that's
back.
going to exist. There's nothing
As
you
long
can
as you
do
come
about
back,
it,
my
but
guy.
at least like add more structure to that process. So that like people will put on record about how they feel about issues, and also that they're
Also,
done in a timely
JP's got
fashion,
a
'cause that's your
girl
point.
now.
As
JP's
you
got a
probably
girl
felt
now.
in the
I see
past,
on
though, like, where votes have
Instagram.
just sat in
Dude,
there open
she's
for,
in.
what,
Dude,
a
when's
week,
my
2
turn,
weeks?
JP? When's
I mean,
my
not
turn?
not that
For
long,
real.
a couple days, and that's like valuable practice. I mean, like
Yeah.
Dan was even bringing up to you. I mean, the stages. I mean, the practice days are short. When we play 2 of each map a day, and after that, it's pretty fucking burnout. I'd say for like even a lot of the top teams, like playing like 3 sets a day to play those maps 3 times. So it's. I mean, you lose.
You lose a lot of time that you could be doing other stuff, but
Yeah.
also like, dude,
Even like
I don't know. Did you guys try out like hideout or extraction?
we did not.
Dude, we tried out hideout, and by the first time we played it, we were like, there's no way.
Yeah, there's some obvious answers. For
Like,
sure.
bro, everyone's going for 50 bombs on the map, and it's just a full fucking bang out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm big on the testing stuff. There's just some things you actually just don't need a lot of testing for. Like I think they were
Yeah.
saying that last night as well.
Bring her to a scrim. Oh yeah, for sure, for JP.
Yeah. So I'm at with this presentation. Ken said it would be on like an hour, so I want to get his thoughts. Is like I'm gonna like kind of work on a V2 of this. Maybe to your point, I need to add a slide about like, you know, the players kind of need to make this process work. So the players need to come up with like every year. It doesn't need to be the same, but every year like 2 or 3 values of like what they as a group of 12 want to like use as a guiding, you know, constitution of how they make decisions. And I think that like transparency in the decision making process
What's good advice is?
like would get rid of some of this confusion, and people would be like, oh well, you know, this got removed because, you know, the players feel like this year this is how they want to tackle it, and you really can't argue either way.
I mean, I hate to
or you
say
think that, or
it,
you
but
think that's too structured.
I hate to say it, but the actual reality of the whole situation is this could all be avoided if there was like a full-on like dev testing process and them constantly balancing for competitive.
Yeah, just borderline impossible.
Which is borderline, yeah, exactly, borderline impossible. And especially if it's not like a Treyarch or Sledgehammer. Like, what if 2 years we go down the line and we're trying to do something with the devs and it's just like impossible because you know how they are.
I mean, I think it's also too like people don't realize it's bigger than the devs, man. It's
Oh yeah,
some of the
it's
devs
an
want to
Activision
help.
thing as well.
Some of the devs want to help, but the interests of the devs isn't always the interest of the business.
Yeah. Like, why do you think Dead Silence hasn't not been fully silent for fucking what, last 5 years or some shit?
Yep. I mean, but that being said, though, to an extent of like, there are times where you guys are going to want to make changes that are impossible. Yesterday, I brought the example like adjusting player health is pretty much always going to be a non-starter.
Mhm.
That's just like a core.
That's too hard with the balancing of everything else. Yeah.
Like respawn delay it's probably somewhere in the middle where like, this year, for example, like I'm surprised that that's not come up yet because it's possible it might make the gameplay a little better than how blood heavy it is now. You know what I'm saying? You
For
die and
something
get
like that,
spawn and get your own trade.
I think it's more so there needs to be actual initiative from someone to be like, okay, let's test out 3 and people to actually do it. Similar to like what Dill was saying earlier. Like the initiative to actually play something that's not your current meta of what you're going to be playing in a match in 2 weeks is a lot for people to actually do right now.
I think one thing too that the pros don't even realize, or that there's some that do. A lot of the people that were in the GHS know, but a lot of the stuff that needs to be fixed can't just be fixed right away. Like there's like 5 or 6 title updates, maybe more than that, like 10 title updates scheduled for the whole year before the game comes out.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
a lot of the issues can only be fixed in those title updates. So sometimes we can bring up an issue right now, and there's just no chance it can be fixed for a month and a half with the schedule of the updates. And I think that is like that's tough on everyone. That's tough on the devs. Like when stuff's been fixed for, I mean, there's probably they have fixes for things that just won't come out for like another month or whenever
Yeah.
season 1 reload is going to come out. So like that's just like a vast issue of like one time one of the devs said you got to have your developers goggles on when you think about these issues because it just can't like you can't blink and a hotfix happens and the game's all fixed.
Yeah.
Some of this stuff is like mandatory, needs to be put out in a title update to like fix the game.
Which is fine. That's why I'm trying to propose like a temporary restriction process that respects that existing like.
Oh
you
yeah,
know,
that's the.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah,
saying the
that's-
most
that's
ideal
all-
cases we have them help us out, but yeah.
And like in a world you can interject. So like originally, JP remembers. Originally we were working on this. Red Chase, appreciate the Twitch Prime, bro. Originally we were talking about JP. This is gonna be even more complicated because we were gonna talk about 3 proposals. One was this. One was one where Activision, like the CDL had oversight, and one was where the developers are at the table. And like I was gonna get really into that shit, but then we decided, don't fuck that because like
That's just
really,
that would go either go
But, like,
nowhere or take too long to do
to the-
anything.
Well,
to the point of this, right? Like a something gets restricted, and then you have this trial period, and at some point in the rep chat, right? Like fucking Maddox says, "Yo, like, we agree with you guys. Like this fucking attachment's busted, but we're not gonna fix it or be able to fix it until season 2 reloaded." You guys are like, "Okay, well maybe let's give it more time, or fuck it, like season 2 reloaded comes out at the end of June. Like we're not gonna play with it anyway. Get the fuck out of here."
Mm-hmm. Someone in my
That
chat
makes-
was saying, why don't they just test like this, the respawn delay and stuff in 8s, which is a good idea, but 8s just don't happen like, like just maybe a couple days during the week, if anything.
They've been popping pretty much every day.
Really? Dude, every time I see that on stream, it's one set, if anything. No?
there's been a couple for sure, but I mean, again, you got to get all the 8 people on board to say, yeah, let's just
exactly.
waste this map. And I'm never a big person on 8s either, but it's like, why are you gonna play a rule set that just isn't gonna happen?
Yeah, it just takes a lot because you're there for practice, but you realize like you might not even play this anyways.
I think
Go ahead,
Wait,
Dylan.
J
I
Cap's
think
in
one
my
big
stream
issue-
says, why is Quavo Kenny gonna crash out? You'll see, Cap. You'll see.
Yeah, I mean, one thing too is that like you were saying, like get the devs in chat to fix these issues. I mean, we had that in BO4 and it was great and stuff. But I think the big thing for the devs
Cap,
and like
Ken is
Activision
losing
is like
full at the
their
rep
job
chat.
is to like fix the game and fix what Activision wants. The job isn't for them to communicate with us. So I think the league's been trying to figure out, and I mean, it's been a big question for years. It's just like who on the developer side or like Activision side like coordinates with the league to fix this stuff. Like there needs to be a designated person. Every year we tie in like whatever dev works for that like game or that company to try to like help us. Like we know Matt
Maddox.
Maddox, yeah, like he helps a bunch. He even helped in BO4. Lawrence, he helps a bunch too. Like I always send like my thoughts to them on certain things, but ultimately, like, bro, they have other issues at hand, like way bigger issues than competitive that is pushed on them by their bosses and
Oh, 100%.
and whoever else. So
Yeah.
so there needs to be a dedicated person behind the scenes, like at these studios, whether it's like a person that works for Activision that does all 3 studios, or a person at each studio each year that we talk with. So man, I think that's just like one of the hard issues to get over, going through like the chain of command.
I've talked to Spencer about this issue, and I think he's trying. Maybe I should text Spencer and see if he wants to come on and talk about it. He might not though. Like
I mean, the fact that there's only what five CDL employees now, like, and now we're we're also trying to get a dev on board that would just be like esports focused. To my knowledge, it just doesn't seem like Activision cares that much to do something like that. So I agree. I think ideal scenario, we have someone that's like main focus is that. I just don't think that's like their priority at all.
So from what I know,
I know the devs are hard at work.
Yeah.
This has actually been talked about at an owner level, and where it's netted is that it's not about a lack of effort. It's an understanding of the political constraints that exist within a very large multinational corporation in which there are business functions that have to weigh in that are totally separate from the CDL process, right? Like, for example, like Activision Legal, Activision Microsoft Legal are a bunch of lawyers that touch a wide variety of subjects, not just Call of Duty, all the games they work on, administrative functions within the business. So that stuff goes to those people, and it's a little bit of a difficult conversation. I think the other complexity of this issue, to your point, is like the studios are involved in that political process. And, as always, people that work on something for 3 or 4 years, they put their heart and soul to it. And then someone plays the game for 2 weeks and says, this shit sucks. Here's how you should do it. Like, obviously, they're going to feel some type of way about it. And you guys have been lucky. Your point about people like Maddox who follow the CDL, try to provide as much transparency as possible and on decision making and accept that you guys are some part of the process. But I think that's what's held CDL from exerting a lot of political capital to make it happen. I don't think it's out of just you know what I'm saying, and just not caring. Because I think they do care. We give them more power for sure.
How much do you think is a resource thing, where it's like, okay, we could fix it with the esports product, but you could also be helping out, our new Warzone map that we are really looking forward to releasing, and will make us a lot more money.
I mean, I don't see if the pros are compensated for testing Warzone. I don't see why you wouldn't want to fold them into that. That, I'm not trying to nitpick that. I'm just saying there is a world where you can do a lot of different things with this group. I just think, again, what's kind of held it back is just the players not being organized and wanting to look after their own fraternity and really think about both now and the future. And on the ownership side, there's so many battles that they're fighting. For example, what's more important to them than this is better MTX within the game. I've talked to owners and they feel like that has taken them 5 years to get to where they're at now. And I think from the CDL side, you guys know, I know Spencer pretty well. I know Spencer cares deeply about this shit. Otherwise, he would have probably got another job at this point. But there's only so much he can do from his end, and he's gotten better and better relationship with studios.
Apparently,
I just hope that
Ken apparently is really fed up with the GA chat. That's why apparently he's going to crash out.
I'm
going to show you the tweet.
Otherwise, it's just going to be the same shit every year.
I think it's fair. I think just a big thing in general, it's just all a legal issue with how big the company is, like you said. I mean, I asked a question a while ago, is our esport is relatively pretty big, tier 1, I'd say. But why when these bugs happen in game, players use Jimbo gets banned for hacking and cheating, why is there no competitive ruling like every other esport? Every other esport has public announcements about competitive rulings, whether it happens in game, about bugs and stuff like that. But if you look at it, we're the only one that's a public company out of all the other big games, realistically.
That's a great question. I actually don't know the answer to that. Because
I was saying it's just I feel like everything is just legality when it comes from the higher these bigger questions, not the GA standpoint stuff, but working with the devs, making the players union. It all comes down to legal work that I think none of us are literally experienced enough in to have a good answer.
I mean, it's not like there aren't competitive decisions being made, because they have been made in the past. They've just there's been a number of things over the years that have just been held quiet, to your point, because I just think PR consideration comes into it. Whereas when you look at like how EA, for example, I think like in FIFA and Apex over communicates transparency on these issues.
Yeah.
Riot, I think, has done it, and oftentimes, sometimes there's been a few instances where they've pushed policy, and people have been like, "Whoa, maybe that's not the best way to do it," and then they've kind of walked it back. With Activision, I feel like sometimes it's like their way or the highway,
Mhm.
For sure.
and there really isn't, anything to kind of say on that. I know people at the CDL, I don't think feel that way. I think if some people at the CDL got their way, I think there would be a lot more transparency. But again, I think that's the position of the legal entity that exists within Activision Microsoft. And from what I know about Microsoft, I think they're even more risk adverse than Activision. So it takes someone with like tremendous political leverage to like say, actually, we should do it and hear the benefits and actually get those people to sign off. It's tough because I think like you see the like, I would say probably the argument that's probably done on the Activision level is like they are by trade a much larger corporation than say Riot is. I think in terms of market cap, right? Like, and I assume that like
Probably.
the
I know
fiduciary
Riot's
response.
private though, right?
Well, so they're a public company. Here's what it comes down to, Chaz. Like they're a public company, so like they're cognizant of like any public relations, any external disclosure, could affect their stock price, and in turn, obviously, makes their stockholders either happy or unhappy, but also affects the compensation of the C-suite executives that actually make these decisions. And I'm not talking about people like Daniel. This does not apply to like Daniel or Spencer. This applies to like someone in the head of HR, there's someone at the head of legal that has executive compensation tied to this shit. And so that like is a complication in a number of these decision making issues, especially because when we think about the beginnings of the CDL and the OWL, it wasn't just being driven by a small business unit like Bobby Kotick was intimately involved in a number of levels of this.
And this is a little off topic, but do you think that's the reason why we never got something like crowdfunding, whole legality team?
Gotta be right.
It's got to be right. Like they don't want the crowdfunding to hit one point one year and then go lower the next year, and it looks bad on their stock. And as a publicly traded company, it just looks bad that it's not a lot of people are crowdfunding this time.
I think we were supposed to have it that 1 year. Do you remember that at all? I think we were supposed to have it a couple of years ago.
Oh really? I don't remember.
But it
that.
was
There was a rumor about it, yes, Dylan. There was a rumor about
and the title
JP?
just didn't perform well.
I haven't answered this, but how do I say this so I get in trouble?
Just say it, bro. Who
shit.
gives a fuck, bro? Wasn't it a
Oh,
camo
shit.
thing?
BenJ's
Wasn't it
got
a
the
camo
intel.
thing, dude? Wait, Dylan,
They,
wasn't it supposed to be team camos or something? Was supposed to go to or something with camos?
So I don't want to get in a lot of trouble, but I can actually speak on detail on this. Unless you want to do it, though.
I actually don't know, but I heard 1 year they were supposed to be, and I'm pretty sure just a lot of things didn't perform well. So
because I know Valve itself, like TI has, it's nowhere near the crowdfunding like it used to be, like this past year. But since I don't think Valve is a publicly traded company, it's not as big of a deal, or it would not be as big of a deal. But for something like Activision, it could be, and that's probably why they're like going on the safe side and not dealing with that at all.
Here's what I will say: owners have been the people that have been pushing that issue are the owners. There are specifically a couple of owners, and you can probably take a guess on who they are, who have really pushed hard for this. And I thought last year, from what I had heard early last year, that was momentum was going to happen. And then I guess it just didn't happen. And I'm not really sure, and I haven't checked back in as to why it hasn't happened. But I think it seems like a lot of the issues have been chipped away on it. I think that weirdly, I assume part of the complication of like say Champs crowdfunding is how is it dealt with the political issue of like EWC, right? Because as we know, EWC prize money is going to always just keep going up and up over time. And there's a balance, a political balance there. But I thought this year was the first year we were going to get Champs crowdfunding. And I guess it didn't happen unless it happened. They just never announced it. Like, I don't know. But I had heard a lot of rumors early in this last year of like, as the team participation agreement was being tweaked, like the charter for the league was being, renewed, like that issue was revisited and people at a senior level with the merger had kind of come around to the necessary need of crowdfunding or like the benefits of it. But I think what I'll try and do is like, this is probably a better question for like Hector or Matt or like Paul Hamilton to probably address. But I don't know if they're going to say publicly. What's up, Tom?
Hey guys, what's going on?
That's good.
Where's the yapping, Tom?
How's everybody feeling today?
Hey Tom, hey Jimmy.
How you doing? How you doing?
I think we need to bring the sniper back.
Oh, shit.
Bring the sniper back.
Yeah, can we circle back to this,
Wait,
Tom?
have y'all solved it yet, or what's up?
You listen,
What's
Dan,
good,
Dan,
Dan?
I was being told that you could lock down half the map on rewind without missing a shot, and we tested that yesterday. And let's just say I was
Wait,
getting
did you
across.
guys-
bro.
Wait, I saw Tommy evading Dan's shots.
I was evading bullets, man. Evading bullets.
But, like,
no
are
problem.
people really
there.
Those were
moving
vet
like you, though?
shoulders, man.
I mean, it's called shoulders. It's called dolphin diving, slide. I mean, you can. I mean, bro.
There's
I
just so
mean,
much at your disposal now. You
There's
know what I'm
omni
saying?
movement, bro. There's omni movement. Back in the day,
can
we had to
slide
cross
8
on
different
Octane,
ways.
bro. We had to cross on Octane with thermal snipes, man. You know
Not
what I
only
mean?
that,
to
not
throw
only
a
that,
smoke
Tom,
wall,
bro.
like-
Not only that, Tom. We had those
Good run,
snipers
man.
down, bro. I was a sniper on that. I was just not even. I was just shooting a bullet at it. Like what was it? Like 123. You just shoot a bullet.
you just timed
I'm,
that
Yeah.
shit.
I kid you not. Like that's
Yep, no,
how.
dead
That's
ass,
how. Like
dead
that's
ass.
how
You
I got
timed
it.
the
Because
cross.
people
You
were
would time the
smoking the
cross.
cross. You're just timing crosses, shooting
Yeah.
a
Smoke
bullet.
cross, got incog.
Yes,
Bro,
sir.
you could literally just pre-fire the Octane. Now I'm talking about also the one by semi too. When you go bottom strip and you watch,
the front strip.
front
Yeah.
strip, and you
Nah,
watch
bro.
like
It was
cross
a
the
dangerous
semi,
world
like
out there. And bro,
100%, bro.
think about it too, bro. They didn't have sniper glints. You didn't even know who was
Nah,
sniping on the
bro.
map, bro.
Even yesterday when Dan was sniping and I was throwing shimmies, I just see that bright ass star just across the map. Like I could see it, bro. Like it's insane.
And that lets you know,
What's
all
up,
right, I gotta
Bambi?
get jiggy with it. Like, all right, hold up. Lock
And
in.
the only thing that I understood was okay protocol. Like if you beat them on offense, you could sit there and hold that whole entire thing. But you could go big door. You could just go big door and make that guy with a snipe useless. And if you do go big door, that guy with a sniper now for the whole round is literally chalked unless he does like some crazy shit. Unless he's forced now to do some crazy shit. Especially if the other team is
Nah, the
disciplined
thing
and like holds their lanes, plays their corners right. Like what's the guy with the snipe gonna do?
Yeah.
The thing is, and Dill can speak on this, but like the pistol's ass, right? I feel like the pistol's ass.
Compared to last year, this shit's ass. Dude, last year, how were we playing with?
Like, bro,
how were we
like,
playing with this shit last year? By the way.
Or even you, JP. I don't know if you see your player take out a pistol after they hit like maybe like 2 bullets with either gun, a jackal, or an MS, and then they still eat another 3-4 bullets. So like, to your point, Tommy, and I know there was like a discussion about this, but like, bro, imagine, and especially with these maps like Protocol, Evolt, that have bunkers, like literal bunkers. Bro, if you see a sniper glint, bro, that shit's just gonna be like, yo, take the bomb under, bro. This guy got a sniper. He has to come break this shit with a pistol. Good luck.
100%. But Dan, this is what I don't understand, Dan. Like, I feel like when I talk to pros, like people have like a pretty good understanding of it, but I just don't understand how the voting went nine votes, like 9 votes one way. Like, I don't understand that. I don't get how the voting actually went to 9 votes.
I
Like,
don't
can see
remember.
some
I don't
teams-
remember from
I was saying-
our point. I know like the SOG was kind of like an interesting vote when it happened, but I don't know anything about the sniper vote. Like I
I
just
was
heard it
being
was just
told that
out.
there were 8 SOGs on the map when you guys were practicing with SOGs. That's what I was being told.
Listen, bro, I'll throw my own team under the bus, bro. We were loving the SOG, bro. We
You
were
were loving
moving
that
like,
shit?
yeah.
Stan slammed us with a saw. I cannot lie.
Yeah, when Dill brought out that when he tweeted the yeah we got slammed by a SOG, but then we like lost to a team running SOGs. Yeah, we might have been the team.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were moving with that shit. For sure. But I also think we like caught you guys off guard. Like when we ran the SOG very early. Like you know when Crowder like tweeted out the like, oh, SOG or Craig, this is already gone or something like
Yeah.
that. That day we tried it. Like the teams we played were down to try it. I think it was like
Yeah, we actually did that a couple days before.
Well,
you.
well,
We did
Yeah.
the
hold
same thing.
on. So like that day, look, because from Chris's POV, they got on that day and it was GA'd off the rip.
I don't
No,
know.
off the
like,
rip, it
comes
wasn't
down to who
GA.
you're scrimming. It
I
comes down
think
to
it
who you're
depends.
scrimming.
that's
like,
what
we
surfaced
asked- 'cause-
afterwards.
Because that day, you guys have to remember, that day is also when the ARs were busted. So we were like, yo, what the fuck going on? Because that's when the AMS went to shit. The
Yeah, I was gonna
Craig
say,
came
were
out.
people using GPRs that day?
That's when people
Yeah.
were using GPRs and like people even I think in the chat. This might have been discussed in the chat. I don't remember, but Justice was just like, yeah, I think people are also just trying the XM4 because like the MS is just clearly busted right now. Like, we can't use an MS. And then obviously at that point too, like the Jackal was just like insane compared to these ARs. So that's why like those couple days were just weird when it came to like what was allowed. So like Dill said,
Mhm.
it just kind of depended on the team you played. Like I forgot who we played first, but we used Sogs, XM4s, blah blah blah, and then we played like another team, and they're like, yeah, let's just fucking try it. I think the only thing that did get slammed like kind of routine like was the Krig because the like Dan Ghosty had tweeted like it applied the same logic of it's a 4-bullet AR. Like
The
why are we
crit
gonna
was
why are we gonna take
blatantly
it?
OP.
Yeah, we tried the XM4 again that day, and it was just busted. We were like,
Yeah,
Yeah,
no
same.
way.
I think by the next day, XM4 went back into the vault for sure, and then that's when people were obviously using GPRs. But like we were down to try the SOG for a bit, and I mean, for us in our experience, we loved the SOG in situations. I saw like Nero change a lot. Like at times he fucking hated it. He's like, this gun's fucking dog shit. Jackal's better. Same with Justice. Like Justice was like, some situations I like it, some I don't. To like we were kind of experimenting with it, and I mean, I think we would still be down to play with it, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I think adding the SOG would be pretty cool. I mean, some people were saying that like the SOG is like actually way better. People just aren't used to it to like actually notice it right now. But once like people actually start running
I can see
it, like
that. Like, bro, I ain't
I
gonna
can see that
cap,
too
bro.
because
We were running 4 at one point. We were just like, fuck it, let's get jiggy
Really?
with it.
Bro, I was only for us. It was like Ant tried it out and AG tried it out, but it was like situational, and then eventually we weren't even using that shit. They didn't even
Yeah.
like it.
I mean, we used it versus you that one day, JP.
Yeah, we
After
didn't even
we
care
played
for
against
it.
Dan with them, Dan and them, and we found out what class they were using. We're like, all right, we're throwing this on, and then it didn't even
Nah,
make a
that we
difference.
knew.
Like,
No, yeah, we knew it
it's
was to
still
get
only good
jiggy
situationally.
because people started asking us what we're running on it. They're like, yeah, they're hitting me up saying what attachments we're running.
It's like
I'm
maybe
"Hey."
we didn't have the class or something. I don't know, but
It also probably just depends, like, on who you play. Like ping, maybe it could be
Yep.
a ping
Yeah.
gun. Like maybe like when you play Texas, that shit's
yeah,
fucking
like on land,
fine.
that shit
Like
would be fucking insane.
yeah,
or something,
exactly.
right?
But like you play a team and it's on 30 ping. Like I said, Nero was like the biggest hater. Justice liked it like pretty consistently, but like because the Jackal shoots straighter, right? So like there'll be times where like motherfuckers are like getting turned on because of it. Like shooting an AR like at like mid range and you know Sog started jumping a little bit. So it's like nah, I don't want it in this situation. So
Like a P5 rewind, like the SOG
Yeah,
would be
like a P5
probably
rewind, 100%, like a bang out
ideal.
hill.
like P5 rewind, you're probably taking out 4. Like no bullshit. Like just get in that bitch. But
yeah, which makes
that was
sense,
kind of
honestly.
ours.
But at
That
least
was kind
something
of like our perspective.
for like the snipers. At least I would have liked to seen something like develop and evolve meta wise. Like be like, okay, oh yeah, this protocol shit is really whack, but okay, what if we try some big door thing, or what if we create some new thing where, we completely make him useless, right? Like
Yeah.
I feel like that never got
I mean, the thing that just
fully
sucks
developed.
for like
No,
when it
it
comes
didn't.
to GAs now compared to like back then, and back then we were trigger happy. Don't get it twisted. We used to pull the trigger fast, but like unless you're doing like unless like what you do, Tommy, when you're like, okay, I'm doing a flank invitational or whatever, I'm gonna allow it this.
Uh-huh.
Pros don't have
Right.
tournaments consistently through a week to like try shit. Like by the time, like you know what I'm saying, like unless you're just doing it in
Mhm.
scrims. So we know how scrims go. Like you said,
Yeah.
bro, if someone slams you that you think you shouldn't lose, get the sniper out of here. Like, they're just winning the map because fucking
Yeah,
he's
yeah, yeah.
sniping. So
Yeah.
it's just harder for pros to like try it out, unless you,
Mhm.
like I said, you're playing them in those flank invitationals or shit like that. Like I'm surprised in eights. Well, that was another thing I heard. Eights kind of did convince some people that the SOG was OD.
I think a big
Eight?
thing too.
The eights is so unstructured, bro. Like I feel like actually making decisions off of eights is just like bro, people can run around
But
in eights using a
yeah, but that's the thing. That's
KSV
where
and they
things
probably
should
fry.
be tried. You know what I'm saying? Like that's where pros are like, okay, this isn't practice. This
I
is
couldn't tell
extra
you,
time.
Guac.
Like,
I guess
let me
so,
just
but
try some shit.
I don't
Like,
know.
but like you
I
said,
guess
because
that's
it's
the
so
point of view.
unstructured, it is also like you can't really.
Yeah,
You,
I
If
mean
it's
it's kind of
just
like
OP,
you can't
they
form
don't
an opinion off
see
that.
it being
yeah.
competitive.
I mean they could definitely try it. I feel like when you're in a team environment, you really can tell if like something's like too OP or too crazy. But I kind of want to circle back on a sniping thing because even on protocol like JP, I completely agree. Like I feel like we didn't even like let time run its course for people
Yeah,
to
like
find.
I could see it being OP, don't get me wrong, but I guess people just don't want to chalk up a stage and be like, okay, we're gonna try a stage with it, but if it's way too insane, then then we GA it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
at least
I
something
mean,
let
that's what
something
I'm
develop.
saying.
Hey, Sam.
Bro. I don't know. Maybe
What's
that's just
going on?
me.
that's what I'm saying. I just think with how the league is structured now, like that's why it's even more trigger happy when it comes to like pulling triggers on like some of these GAs.
Also, I
Can
feel
I
like the
ask you guys
standard
a
every year.
question? Can I ask you guys a question? I feel like I know the answer to it.
Yeah,
It might
some
be a
pros look at
hypothetical question
exclusive
here,
ace
but
chat
do
or
people literally
radiation.
just
I don't know
follow
about
the pack
everyone,
and not
but a
even
lot of do.
form a vote for
Of
themselves?
course.
Which is like, you know, I feel like it kind of like I feel like if it kind of ruins the whole voting process if people are literally just like,
No, it was
you know,
like that back then, Tom.
3 of the top 4 teams want the sniper out. Yeah, we'll just take the sniper out. If I'm
It
down.
was, I mean,
You
it
know what I
was
mean?
like that back then. You remember? Like as soon as you saw like 7, 8, like yeah, boys, it's looking shot. I can't cap. Like,
Yeah.
and then you would
Yeah.
ask your team like, you trying to hold your ground or not? Like I remember in Black Ops 4, like that's obviously kind of the last time. It's just like, we trying for this shit. Like for example, stock 2 on the SOG, motherfucker, we were fighting for that shit. We're like,
I
hell
remember-
yeah.
It's a
Oh,
little
yeah.
bit different
Yeah,
to
me
Death
too.
Dancer
Then-
because
then
that's
it
that's
got to-
completely
then it got to a
it's
point
made
and
that's
it's
made to
like,
be competitive.
Yeah, boys,
There's a
it's
complete
fucking
disconnect
shock,
because
bro. And then, like you're
COD
trying
out
to
of the box
practice.
isn't
That's another
competitive.
thing. Like you're trying to practice, or you're just like, do we stand our ground? Do we just chalk it so we know what the fuck we're playing with? Like,
Yeah, and I'm not gonna lie
You know what I'm saying?
too. I actually think it's kind of crazy that the stock 2 didn't make it in with how bad the SOG.
I
Everything
agree though,
else
Death
had
Dancer. Like if
2
we played
attachments
League as a
and we
CDL,
banned
everyone would
the
be
SOG
using the
that
same
didn't
5
have
channels.
2
everything
attachments.
everything was so bad all the subs were so bad, like the SOG was on it shot peas in the beginning of Black Ops 4. The SOG shot legit peas, bro.
Bro,
Like,
Dirt-
That
legit.
double stock was dangerous
Bro,
though.
the thing is,
Yeah, it
Dill.
was.
No, the thing is that what made double stock OP, and I remember this. This happened right after the event. We
I'll be right back, chat. I'm gonna go to the
accidentally
bathroom real quick.
had Dirt and Donnie on the 2 roles where they didn't have to burn what was it, like an equipment, so they can run it fully stacked. And I
Yeah.
remember right after Vegas, every team switched their roles to match ours. Like that's when they started trying to force Pristini, I think, to run War Machine or Grapple or a BZ, because that's what our combo was. Because like I said, you were able to fully stack it. Same with Dill, because I think Dill was like the only other person running stock 2. That's when you were fucking, I don't know, you were running some crazy shit. You were running stock 2 only with
battery, double
double
stuns.
Yeah.
It was
I was running
insane.
some crazy shit. But yeah, like that's I think, to your point, when people see like 6, 7 votes already kind of in voting something else, it's just like, are we gonna stand our ground, or is just like, should we just chalk it up because it seems chalk, just so we know what we're playing with?
Yeah. No, for
think-
sure.
I think the norm though nowadays too is like before the game even comes out, it's like the like I mean this is a bad thing. It's just the standard that the snipe's going to be GA'd until it isn't.
Yeah, simple
compared to like back in like CWL and stuff when you guys play, it's just like the snipe was like always in off the rip. Like there was usually no question about it.
Yeah, it's a
Compared to
simpler.
now where it's like well the snipe's out
Well, back
already.
in the day, I don't even think we were limited to 1. I think if we wanted to pull out more, we could have. It wasn't
Well,
like
in World
man,
War
it-
II, 100%. USS Texas, motherfuckers were running 3 snipes.
Yeah.
Lightning
No, I
Texas,
remember AW, me and Clay on high rise. I had a snipe top left, and
Everyone
Clay
had
had
a
a snipe
snipe
top right. Right? Like,
Oh, are you talking about
But,
Skyrise or whatever?
but there is always
Yeah,
there's
on
always a
high-rise.
trade on high rise. There is a trade off. Like they get the bomb down, you got to retake with 2 snipes now. And like I
Right.
guess in AW when you could like
I mean, Riot was the same thing.
Yeah.
Nah,
Yeah,
not
Riot.
really Riot, but
but, like
I mean, we played with Overkill in the beginning of AW, Tom.
yeah, you guys did.
I know we did. I used to have an ASM.
S-
I remember
SMG,
what was
Back
had
pocket ASM
Hey,
SM
one.
what was the
sniper,
map?
yeah.
What was the map?
Terrace, bro. You would go for
Terrace.
a World Star snipe,
Yeah.
you miss it, you just pull out the sub and you're hitting
Yeah,
gold.
it hit mid. Yeah.
Well, like, you can see
Hey,
in
what
that,
is
you can see in that Clay clip when he fucking Clay
Yo,
got that
was
sniper in
kinda
Detroit.
fire,
It
though,
said
Dan. Like,
backpack a
Dan,
fucking
that
sub.
shit was
I
kind of
can't
fire,
lie,
though.
bro. I can't
Like, it
lie.
wasn't
On
bad.
TK, we ran 4 overkill snipers on Terrace. We all went for the World Star cross snipe. And
Bro,
then
why
just pulled out
wouldn't
a
you?
sub and hit
Why
mid.
wouldn't
4
you?
overkill snipes, dude. Holy
Yeah.
fuck.
See, I
Overkill.
could actually understand the snipe GA if it was like a fully attached out like sniper, like a
Come
god
on, Ken.
sniper.
We're
right?
waiting
You
for
could
you,
just
my
do
guy.
it all with it, but bro, I was even running around
Bad.
with the no attachment sniper yesterday. Like it aims in slow
So
as
slow.
fuck. Like it
And it-
feels
and
like
it-
super
And it has
clunky.
crazy flinch, no?
Yeah,
Yeah,
crazy
insane
flinch as
flinch.
well.
Ken said he'll be
crazy
here in
flinch.
5.
Bro, when I was
bet.
going for fucking, I don't know if Sam you've done it, and I know you play a lot, but like when you go for the snipers, like in Dark Matter, bro, that flinch when you're trying to get headshots is like
Yeah,
the
the flinch is
biggest.
horrible.
It's insane, bro.
Yeah, it's fucking
Saying
terrible.
let's just run it, bro. Like
User
there's no
left your
repercussions
channel.
anyway. Literally
What
no
was,
repercussions if you don't run.
What was the
Case.
main? Actually, you guys haven't talked to Kenny yet. You haven't talked to him. I was actually
Ken's
curious
gonna be
about
on
his
in
tweet.
30. He said 30 minutes.
Oh, okay, bet. I was curious about his tweet because I was actually curious about like what he heard that like pissed him off. Like I don't know if he heard things from like me or you, Ben, or like people like fighting for it, or Sam, or if he heard things from the players that pissed him off. Like I don't know what, like you know what I mean?
I think he's been losing full at the GA chat at least. That's what I've heard.
The GA chat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I
I
didn't-
will say I see a lot of people being very toxic. especially towards Slasher. I want to actually show Slasher some love for actually joining the call and talking about this shit, because some people are scared of the like
Repercussions and shit.
repercussions of it. When like I'm kind of just like, dude, who cares? Like, dude, let's just have a convo about it. Like,
And Austin is reasonable and actually will give his like ideas about it and then like a back and forth. You know?
Like, it's good to have a convo. I mean,
Yeah.
Ernie, on the other hand, that guy's a moron. You know what I mean? I mean, Ernie's
Yeah, Ernie was not locked in last night.
He was not locked in. I mean, he's just not the right person, to be honest, to be asking about the GA shit. I mean, he's just, he's just a moron. It's Ernie, man. Like, we need to get like the right people from each team to like actually talk about this shit.
I thought Dan
and
was
get
good
a
last
convo
night.
done.
Snipers
Dan
will
was
make
good
rank
last
10
night.
times
Dan was
worse.
good.
I
Sounds good.
appreciate it. I
Shit, it's
appreciate it.
already fucking
Yeah, I mean, having
super ass with the
Dan-
hackers. So
Yeah.
how much
Super
worse
ass.
can it get?
But I just think having Dan, Liddy, like even Ernie for joining in, like shout out to them for even just coming in and getting the convo started. Like, I feel like people don't talk about that enough, because that's hard enough to do. Is just get people on stream talking about this shit. So I feel like for them to come on, get the convo going, was cool to see.
User
So shout out to them,
disconnected from
and
your
shout out to
channel.
everybody who's in here right now, like Dylan, like Envoy's in here, and Dan, and fucking
User
Sam,
was
and
moved to your
everybody,
channel.
JP.
I got nothing to do with this shit. I'm here as a spectator.
Yeah, I'm here to
You-
see.
you-
I'm
you
here to
really
see
want to
Ken
fucking
crash
react
out.
to the
I'm a
content?
spectator out here.
Envoy and Dan Ghosty and JP. Is that Dan now? Wait,
Yeah, I'm just here for entertainment.
I was
Like,
gonna say-
scrims are about to start, so I am about to scrim. but
Totally. Oh, you're about to scrim,
Who
Dan?
you playing
Well,
today?
I don't
Oh,
actually.
you're gonna stream them? Let's go. Good shit. You're
Yeah,
live.
yeah,
Let's go.
you're live.
Yeah,
on-
I'm not allowed.
you guys
bro.
haven't
That shit's
started
stupid.
streaming?
LAT watch
You
party
guys
on my
started
stream?
way earlier.
Oh, no.
Nah, they start at 1 East or 1
start at
Central.
1:30
1
Eastern.
Central.
Yeah, 1 Central, 2
Central,
East.
2 East.
Yeah, am I tripping? In MW19, did we not scrim way earlier? Or am I?
Nah,
It's been
that
the
was
same time
uh,
since like
This is
Black
this
Ops
has
4.
been the this is
Since
the
CDL.
schedule.
Bro, kind of
Nah,
Martin
nah.
again at
So-
8
so
a.m. to watch
the-
the film,
I think
dude.
Bro,
Black
this
Ops
used to
4 was
be-
1 hour later.
Yeah, it
I
was.
think
yeah.
it was
I was
3.
streaming.
It was 3 East, and then it was.
Yeah.
Bro,
We
I
changed it
argued.
halfway.
Tom knows about this. I argue with fucking Austin at the league about this in World War II, because me and Crowder were like, bro, why are people like, we're at the league and people are scrimming at like 4 p.m. Like, does that not make fucking insane sense? Like, it
Nah, I
doesn't
ain't
make
gonna
any
lie,
sense to
Black-
anyone. Like,
Black Ops 4 schedule was godlike at the beginning, bro.
Yeah.
Like I think it was like 5 East start. Like I can actually wake up. I was in the gym streaming a good 5-6 hours. and
Yeah,
then
I would
go
wake up in
into
the stream from like
scrims,
11 to
bro.
scrims every day.
Yeah, that shit was elite.
Can I
That's
ask
the
you,
one- that's the
another
one thing.
question about Jill? Sorry, Dan. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that's the one thing that's kind of like makes it. I guess it's not hard because you can stream right after practice, but after practice you're trying to eat food, stuff like that. Like,
That shit drains you, bro.
yeah, I did like their schedule. We used to be back in the day. I can't cap.
Dude, I'll tip anyone who can stream after practice.
Yeah,
Dude, when
like,
I was doing it for the last like 2 years of me competing, it
I
was
was done.
horrible, bro.
Yeah.
Wait,
That's
the streaming
what I
after
would-
practice?
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
turn it on for 8s.
I'm gonna
just
be
like, I
honest,
knew I
bro.
was
It's
retiring
kind of
and
it's kind of
shit,
like
dude, it was
the
bad.
it's kind of like the not like the sacrifice you make, but the choice you make if you want to like go the extra push. You know what I mean?
the only thing that's good, really good about this schedule compared to ours is like scrims finish right at like dinner time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I actually think the West Coast scrim time was actually the best.
West
like-
Coast
Oh,
scrim.
West
get
Coast,
done, bro.
dude, I wish
You-
I experienced
the
that.
only- my
You have
only
to wait
quarrel
crust
Sam
at the
was-
morning,
Yeah,
but
until
once
you
you get
play on
through
that
it,
internet.
it's elite.
yeah.
My only
Until you
quarrel
play on
Sam
that
was
West
just
Coast internet.
what's the fucking traffic, bro? You get out
That
at
was
peak
so
traffic
nice.
time, and there's no point to go home for like 30 minutes. You just gotta wait.
Oh,
I live
yeah.
super close to the compound, so it wasn't that bad for me.
I lived
but
a mile
feel
away.
you.
It still took 20
No,
minutes.
Jefferson Boulevard traffic is
But
fucking
the,
psycho.
the location of the compound's also in like a hot spot. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Well, it's
it's
around
peak-
hot
it's
spot.
Bro,
around
you
the peak,
cannot
yeah.
you can't make a left at that fucking building like during rush hour. Good luck.
Nah, you can make a left. You just gotta wait.
You gotta wait fucking 10 minutes. Like for sure, yeah, you gotta wait.
So you just gotta wait.
But the phase off is too. I mean,
The
we're-
phase off's
we're
even
really
worse
close to you.
because the phase off's even worse because of the fucking blind corner. Like,
Yeah.
Wait, Dan, I heard you can't kill Tom off the cross. What's up, bro?
ooh.
Dude, I might just be ass. It might be like a
No,
me
Dan,
issue. I
you're-
might be the 48th worst.
Nah, I think
sniper.
Tom's just evasive.
Tom's
bro.
movement's just different.
Yeah,
bro.
Yeah,
it's
my
just
movement is
different.
insane.
Yeah,
My
honestly, I
movement
was
is
just getting
crazy.
movement there.
It
I
had nothing,
thought
it
it
had
was
nothing to
Shotzi
do with
over
you, Dan.
there.
It was just all Tom.
And I mean, that's what they call me. But Dan, on a real note, that snipe is hard as fuck. Like that.
No,
that-
that
What
that
snipe
cross
were you
actually- I
using? The
wasn't
third
even-
one?
Yeah, the third one.
the one crossing on rewind is actually hard to hit. Like that shit is not easy to hit. Like, bro, if people are like know the
No,
snipe
honestly,
crosses and they're
Paco
diving
explained it a
across,
bit better
it's
than
hard.
I can. Like last year, like snipes would have been ass on like invasion, for instance, because you can get info and have a chance of getting the kill versus just getting the info. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like
What do you mean?
it's significantly easier to get that kill with a sniper watching the cross, and you get free info guaranteed no matter what.
Oh yeah, but the thing is that guy stuck with a snipe for the whole round.
Yeah, I'll never disagree to that point. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You know,
like,
like,
sniper
retaking a
mid-round-
bomb on
yeah,
rewind
like
with a sniper, like,
retakes with a sniper are and like fucking any
Bro,
post plant that isn't
impossible.
planted for it is hard.
you're just sliding in
It's
with a
hard.
pistol,
Yeah.
hoping you get traded.
Yeah, you're baiting for someone almost
Yeah,
every
that's
time.
the trade-off.
And that's kind of like that's been my argument. That's been my argument on
I
it.
saw Dill said that Brandon can bring it out in 2 weeks. Fuck it, I'm down. Brandon
mean-
snipe in the first match.
I genuinely
think
don't
the snipe
understand the
should be
logic of the
I
GA.
think the vote of the GA should be revisited. I think people need to think a little bit more about it. I think you need to
I
think
agree.
a little
Honestly,
bit more about
whenever
it,
Ken
and-
comes in here and shares his 2-time wisdom, like we'll be good, bro. Like
that's
might
what
have some
I
great
was going
results here.
to ask before I was like, I have a question to ask you guys. Do you guys see potentially revisiting this vote today and going back to the chat and putting another vote in?
I'm
for
always
Snipe?
down to vote and change things for the betterment of the game.
You know,
Whether
I
that
mean,
has to be rushed, not rushed, well thought over, whatever it may be.
yeah, I love that about you, Dan. Dan, I love that about you, bro. You're
Alright,
willing to just
I am
like
gonna
hear
go
shit out
stream.
and talk about shit.
Bye,
Be
man.
late,
bro.
bro.
I'll be
Yeah,
there,
good
kid.
luck.
Good luck, bro.
Have
Do
a
your
good day,
thing, bro.
boys.
Do your
User
thing, bro. Later,
disconnected
Dan.
from your channel.
But I definitely think if pros revisited this convo, because Sam, I just feel like all the arguments that I'm hearing, and listen, I completely get it. You know how Scrappy yesterday was like, "Oh, you used to be a player, GA ain't shit. Now you're a hypocrite, brother." I don't disagree with GAs. You know what I mean, Sam?
Yeah, I don't think any of
I-
us. I mean, you know my
No.
point. I made the same point yesterday. It's like I
No, we
disagree
need
with
a
the ones that are
competitive game.
arguable.
I've been a pro player. I completely understand. I don't want to play with like fucking claymores and shit. Bro. Like I
Yeah.
understand.
And
that
bro,
there's
Ernie's
issues
just not the
with GAs.
Ernie's not the person to talk. You could tell him what he's spawning in with every day. He doesn't care. He just wants to play the game.
Ernie was never.
He just
the
wants to play
right
the game, bro. He
choice for
doesn't
it.
give a fuck.
Right, and I'm sitting
not
here
getting
and I'm
brain
trying to
rot eaten.
justify like some of these GAs, and
This is
and
just
some
the
of them like I'm hearing
experience.
them out, right? Like I completely understand like a lot of the GAs. Like I
Would
I
you
really
like me
do.
to put Subway
And
servers in the
when I
corner?
think about the sniper and I go through the positives, like the positives and the negatives, bro, I don't understand. I just don't understand how that one's getting a majority vote. Like I just don't
Well,
get
bro,
it.
I mean, of the sample size
Sam-
that I asked you yesterday, like, bro, people barely even use the fucking thing, and they just voted yes because it's
Simp.
like, it's just
Simp
easy.
the pimp, Black Ops 4, bro.
I mean, yeah, people just don't want to get sniped.
He
Fucking
he
6
changed-
years ago.
Yeah, and he scarred everyone.
Yeah,
That's
but
why
I mean,
that's why right after that year, everyone's like, okay, snipers and smokes have to be 1-1. Like,
yeah, but apparently
You know what I'm
3 of the
saying?
top 4 teams voted the sniper out, right? So it's
Yeah.
like, which just like that's another thing. It's like, bro, y'all are so talented. What like why? Like
Well,
I guess
bro,
in
I
their eyes,
guarantee you-
it makes the skill gap less, I guess, in their eyes. But I mean, they have really good snipers on their team.
Bro,
Bro,
It's
just
the,
not
like-
well,
like
the thing about like FaZe's case is that Simp would be their sniper, and having a sub snipe and search, like there's been years where the
Well-
snipe has been in and he hasn't done it.
I don't think Chris should be. I think it would be Zach or MC.
I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
it
but
could
it's
be,
not-
but
yeah,
like
but
regardless,
it's-
like
it's
I
like-
mean,
really-
because
I
the
know
snipers
the
haven't
snipe
been
has
in for
been
a while.
in before in multiple seasons, and Simp just hasn't been the person to use it. It's been like
Yeah.
MC if anything, or like
Yeah,
Alec when they
I
were
can see
teaming.
all of it. I can see all of them sniping. Whoever wants to take. I mean, that's also cool, right? That adds a storyline. Who they gonna give the snipe to? Who's gonna try and snipe this map?
I
Like,
just don't, bro. I just don't appreciate like the player argument of like they're arguing like absolutes. Like they're just like what happened yesterday, bro. There's gonna be a snipe on the B rewind cross every round. It's impossible to cross. Like no, there's not. There's gonna be rounds where the guy's not sniping. There's gonna be rounds where maybe you get blooded and you don't go there next round and you just bang out the site. Maybe there's like a pre-nade for the fucking court angle. Like
I mean,
Yeah.
imagine
There's so
that-
many-
Imagine if we had that logic for fucking Ghost.
there's so exactly, bro. Oh, he's sniping Octane cross GA it. Like that's
Mhm.
fucking insane. Like the arguments that I've heard for keeping the snipe out are fucking insane. Other than the protocol thing, I still again will agree the protocol shit is cheese. But like maps like
Sam, I've been
rewind, red
thinking
card,
about
whatever.
that, Sam. I've been thinking about the protocol thing, and like there are ways to just play it. Like if he genuinely is just sniping that every round, like bro, there's so many different things you can do on the map to just completely make that guy useless. You know what I mean?
Well, I get that, but like if that timing exists, Tom, and if it's a guarantee to get into that bomb site with a bomb down on offense, there's no incentive to go to like have anything else with offensive strategy. Like you're just gonna go down there with a snipe, get guaranteed bomb down, and make the team retake every time. And the retake
but
percentage is super low.
Isn't that kind of like the mind game of it though, Sam? Like now the guy on the other team has to think, should I pull the sniper out and go down here on the offense? And now
I think
stuck
that's what
with
it'll
the
evolve
sniper.
into, though.
Right,
What,
but
are you
isn't
saying
that
that a
kind of
sniper would just go spiral every round and just look at the zip drop down?
Yeah, because
He beats you.
the opposite side, the offense side, like that timing. Like there's no
Oh,
point for
offense
offense to
drives down the
go.
zip
Yeah, there's no point for offense to go to another bomb site if all it takes to get a bomb down is a sniper to drop down zip. Like that's the only thing it takes to get a bomb down and force a post plant. I'm doing that every round.
But there's big doors, Sam.
Yeah, I was about to say.
No, I know
what
there's
if
big
I
door,
just
but
put-
like
what
if you don't
I
have
just
if you
go-
don't have a trophy for big door and the timing's the same and you get like tax in there, like then it just becomes a shit show because the only play for defense is big door now, right?
Yeah, but you gotta think, Sam, because if one guy's gonna be going low with a snipe, and one guy's probably gonna be going down there with him, like you could play big door slow.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah,
Ken.
no,
you
I'm not.
slow
No, there's
play,
Ben, do
definitely
you
like
have the
there's, yeah, there's
TS
definitely like
password, by the way?
adaptations to it, but I
You
just
can
think that like
also-
how
you can
insane that timing
also-
is.
What's
creates a
up,
lot of value.
JP?
Another thing that you could do is also
Yes,
play top
password, I
mid.
think he has been.
Like playing top middle is also a big thing on that map. Like if somebody's just gonna drop low with a sniper every time, you could play top middle and get control
Yeah.
of their building, and now they're tweaking. Like big doors open, zips open,
Yeah,
spirals
for sure.
open.
Yeah, I'm not saying that. Like,
You know, like-
yeah, there's multiple ways to play it, but I just think that like having that insane of a timing to get like
I mean, if
lower
we're bringing
control
it-
with a
yeah.
bomb site sounds insane to me. Like, I think
still-
I think I agree with the
offensive,
players in this situation.
Offensive timings need to be
Yeah.
fucking tweaked anyways.
What if they move the
Protocol
bomb?
and Volt.
What if they move the bomb site out of that bunker? into
Yeah, if the bomb
field?
site's not there, then I think it's completely moot point, and I think the sniper should be allowed on that map. But the
Yeah.
fact that there's a bomb site in there and offense has the capability of just running in there, I think it's.
I mean,
And
why
just to
don't-
play,
Well,
just to
at
play
that point-
devil's advocate real
But the
quick.
thing is, at that point,
Here
too, though,
comes the
Tom, why
crash
not
out,
do what
chat.
we
Here
did in
comes the
World War
crash
II,
out.
where like some smokes are allowed on some maps and then other maps.
we could.
Like,
Yeah, we could do
like
that.
no
Well,
protocol, no
they probably
sniper.
won't want to do that with the Emissus shit, right? Are you saying don't use snipes on protocol?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we brought up yesterday. Like bring the snipe back, but just don't use it on protocol or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, Ken's in here. Can we drag him?
Your time. I can drag right now, hon.
All right, I'm muting up and I'm about to enjoy this.
Absolutely.
I gotta hear this.
User was moved to
Mr.
your
Ken.
Yo,
Good
Good,
day.
brother.
That's good, Ken.
what's good, bro?
Brother. Had it,
First up, before we get into this conversation, I
Damn.
need to update on your tweet from the other day. JP
What's
told
up?
me that you did make the fucking dessert today. How'd it go? How'd
Bro,
it
shut the
taste?
fuck up, Ben.
I'm
Yo,
not gonna lie, that
listen,
just
listen.
looked
I
good.
might
I'm
have
not gonna
cooked. I
lie.
might
That
have
looked
cooked up.
good.
I'm not
Ken
gonna lie.
cooked, Ken
Shit
My
cooked.
was-
chef.
That shit was gone. I
Wait, you
woke
made
up
that?
looking for more. Yeah. Well, my mom came up with the recipe, but she sent me the recipe and I made it
Oh,
like,
okay,
for the team.
okay.
Can't lie,
Yeah,
Ken's
that
mom's
looked,
an
nah,
insane
that
cook.
shit did look
I
crazy,
gotta
bro.
vouch
I'm
on
not
that.
gonna lie.
That
That
shit was
looked
fire.
crazy. But
Yo,
go.
how y'all doing, bro?
good,
Good.
bro.
I mean, you obviously kind of tweeted out kind of your emoji thoughts. I kind of responded to you, and then you and I chatted via
Yeah.
DM. Just wanted to get you on here so you can kind of, like off the rip, just kind of speak what you want to
What
speak
pissed
off.
you off the most, Kenny? What pissed you off? What did you hear that pissed you off the most? Or is there
Alright,
something in the
listen,
GA
so-
chat or something? Go ahead.
I mean, it's just been a lot this year. I feel like because I mean, our team has had our opinions on the GA chat. I think there's a lot of clips that I saw that were kind of like what I feel like people are just assuming shit. That's just number one. I think another thing too is like I don't know. This is my honest take, and I mean no disrespect to anybody in the call. I just feel like the GA
No.
thing is is becoming a little bit cloudy, if that makes sense. Like a clout heavy, whereas like it's like catering to like last year how like everybody bullied the GA chat into bringing the snipers back. Like I think that's like kind of corny. That's just my opinion because I feel like if we were actually serious about having these talks, it'd be more private. That's just me. If I'm keeping it 100, and I think like people saying like players don't come together and try to talk about the stuff in like privately every week or whatever is like troll because I feel like I type a lot in the chat. I'm talking a lot. A lot of people don't respond, and if I'm keeping it real, I don't even know if we want some people responding because I don't know if they takes are realistically gonna be what people want to hear. That's
This has
just
been a
being
thing since
listen.
the old days.
That's just being as real as possible because I feel like some people don't really understand. They don't even understand how to go to the hill. So if you want them to actually like talk about like what guns or what this and that should be in, I feel like their votes are enough. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who talks about it, who runs the GA commish. I feel like their votes are gonna be their votes. And I do understand the fact that like people shouldn't vote if like for example, we voted out the SOG. I'll keep it a
Yeah.
stack. And it was no reason for it. Like we didn't like it. We didn't think it was good. Yes, I understand that like it's our fault that it was on me. Like I put out, I was like, yo, AG, y'all like it? They were like, nah. So I was like, all right, well, we just get it out. Cause at the end of the day, the gun is a DOC gun. In no COD have we ever had DOC guns in comp. And this year was the first year that I feel like the pros actually wanted to try it, which I think is like a step in the right direction. But at the end of the day, like the salt, I mean, like it's a DOC gun. So us arguing about a DOC gun is fucking comedy. And I think also the community saying like, why was the Krieg banned? And then now ranked is out, and now all I see is the Krieg's OP is also comedy because like
I
us
was gonna
pros.
say ranked helped that argument, King Cat.
Yeah,
Well, I
exactly.
don't think anyone's really
Yeah,
arguing for
nobody-
the
nobody
Krieg, though.
reacted to the
Wait,
Krieg.
Yeah,
that's cap because I had people come in my chat saying like why was the Krieg banned before it was even tried? And like you could go in the firing
Yeah,
range.
but they're,
understand the Krieg-
just
hold
like
on,
random
don't,
people in the chat.
don't,
though? I
don't
mean,
don't get one. Listen,
Okay,
I'm
I'm not
the
getting
king. I'm
one
the
guy.
king
I'm not
of
getting
getting.
one
I'm
guy.
the
I'm
king
not
of
getting one
getting
guy.
one
I'm
guy.
just saying.
I'm
I'm
the
just
king
saying.
of
I'm
getting
taking.
one guy.
Listen.
Let me tell
we all
you.
agreed with the
Listen,
Krieg.
I'm not saying y'all don't. I'm just saying like I'm trying to take all takes into I'm not trying to like disregard any takes because there's a lot just saying like a lot of this stuff isn't being talked about. Like I don't even know if it came out that the XM4 was tried again.
Yeah,
Like we tried the XM4 again.
we know that.
That shit's still OP. Like it's just small stuff like that. And I think like what I want to say is like I seen the clip of Sam and like Scrap going at each other, and it's like that was fucking comedy, by the way, Sam. But I will say like I think the song, like for example, like it happened last year with the BP50 or whatever. The BP50 came out and people are saying like, oh, people running 8 on the map, blah 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 blah. And then we scrim somebody and then they don't win a map. And I'm just like, okay, so then eventually people are going to realize that the SOG is ass. And that's a fact. So like my question is, and this is a genuine question, is like, if the SOG is allowed and nobody uses it, like what's the whole point? Regardless of like if it's out or in, like what's if nobody ever uses it?
You should not ban if weapons
No.
are not.
Okay. I agree there. I agree there.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be out if everybody agrees that it's not good.
Yeah.
But like, bro, I promise you, and I will promise. I literally asked in the GA chat, do y'all actually think this shit's OP? Nobody responded. I'm completely ignored, and like the
That's
votes
crazy.
just kept happening.
Well, I mean,
And,
Kenny,
like,
that's
how-
a
like,
problem, though.
Bro,
That's a
I don't
problem.
understand
Can we-
how is Ken gonna say this, but we're gonna have that conversation yesterday where they made it seem like it was 8 on the map, it was the best gun of all time, and it was an
that's
not-
undisputed.
we
advantage.
never-
people
we
lie.
use that shit with one
Like
map.
how is
People are
like where
lying.
is
Can I-
this
can I-
hat
can I
like
step in real
It's
quick?
not
That's
adding
not
up,
fair.
Real quick,
boys.
say
It's not
something?
adding up. Go ahead, Tom.
Because this is like, Kenny, I just want to go back to your original point, right?
Yeah.
About like, and I completely get that, like the clout, right, and kind of like the bullying thing, right, like kind of
Yeah.
bringing it up, making it public. I could definitely see how from your guys' POV that could be kind of corny. But
Yeah.
look at it from our POV, right? Like every time we're asking people are just like, oh, I don't give a fuck, or I don't know, or it's not facts. What he was saying was not facts, and this like there's so much confusion like behind the scenes that and you had said it too, right? That people are always making assumptions and it's pissing you off.
Mhm.
And I think that's because there is a lot of shit going behind the scenes that's happening that we're not seeing.
Yeah.
So people are making their assumptions, right?
Yeah.
And when we're hearing about it, it sounds just like super unorganized and like, bro, we appreciate
Yeah.
people like you who actually want to come on and talk about this stuff and actually are in the GA chat talking about this stuff. And
This is
just
my
to kinda-
first year, by the way. I'll say that. This is
Oh,
my.
you're the rep for
I
y'all?
was honestly
Yeah.
mind blown. I'm even in the chat, but you
Right.
go
Sound
ahead,
like
go
a
ahead,
shot.
Tom,
And,
go
no,
ahead.
and I was gonna say, and like I definitely see it as a corny thing. I don't disagree with you on that, but it worked with the snaking, and I think we can all agree that the snaking.
I don't think it did work though, because people were still snaking last year.
Yeah,
That's
but it
it.
definitely improved, no, Kenny? Like I feel like
yeah.
early
It definitely
on we
improved.
had
It still was a
early
thing, though.
on we had instances where I feel like people were doing it still, where
Yeah.
we're still in a habit. Like I remember Caesar did it, but like
Seattle did it
early
7
on,
times.
like
Yeah.
yeah, and that was like super early. But there was a period in the year, like halfway to the end of the year, where nobody did it. Like it got really good from the midway
Yeah.
to the end of the year. Like it actually got good. Like I didn't see any snakes.
Snaking is
and
a hard one though, because I'm more so just talking about the guns and shit that we use, because like for example, like the snipers. Like I think this is how I see it, and I think it should like for us to never be like having these talks every year. Like I think it should be a consistent basis of the fact that like snipers always go hand in hand with how the smokes work, and that's always been a thing. It's all like I feel like y'all people are gonna bring up, oh, BO4 sniper, but I think BO4 sniper was one of the worst, most OP shits that we've ever had in COD. Because
Well,
first
that
of
game
all,
didn't have smokes, did it?
no, it didn't.
No,
But
it didn't.
that's what I'm saying. I feel like the fact that the sniper was even in was OP. Because
Wait, what about like Vanguard and MW2?
so okay, that's what I was gonna bring up. So what I'm saying is like how like the thing about those snipers is like this sniper is only good if you don't run attachments. And I think the fact that you got to take the attachments off to make the gun usable doesn't that mean it's OP? And keep in mind, we voted to keep the sniper in because regardless of the fact that like when the sniper was even in like allowed in the tourneys that y'all hosted, obviously that was like trial and error, but nobody even used it then. And if people used it, it was like maybe once or twice. We went to the case on land. I think it was maybe used one map.
Yeah.
And it's like I agree that like shit shouldn't be out if it's not being used. It's just I feel like it's not being used because of the fact that you took the attachments off.
Well, so can you get to the point that we were talking about earlier, which is like part of the problem with the GA process? And I'm curious, you guys' thoughts is that like there isn't a 3 or 4 like list of values that you guys use to determine whether stuff stays in or not, right? Like these are the 3 or 4 core things that if you check all these boxes, it's in. If only these are not checked, well, let's get it out here. And like to your point, when you have variance in how a game plays, variance in how weapons work year to year, how smokes work, how movement works. Like there's nothing to check against and deal with sort of the variability of like all these weapons over time.
I think a big thing
weird edge
too,
cases.
specifically with the SMG, like the SOG one, was like, dude, it was just based on like who you scrimmed. It was literally the experience that day. If you played
give it enough time.
Yeah, if you played Dan's team, oh, you're running a 3 SOG. You played our team, you did not see a SOG for maybe all of the hardpoint maps, if anything, like one hill.
So, listen, I'm hearing some teams, some players are telling me they tried it for 1 day. Some teams are telling me they tried it for 4. Like yesterday, they were saying they tried it for 4 whole days and shit.
Yeah, people lie though, Tom. Like that's part of the issue with that.
I think everybody's just doing shit differently, bro. Because again, there's just like like there's nothing's organized. Everything's just so like.
Yeah, but do you think everybody's being truthful in this process?
Hold on. Let me see.
Not off topic.
I mean, obviously the bias is a problem. That was the only good thing that Ernie said.
What, are you gonna look at the scrim schedule
about the bias, and I can't really disagree with that.
I think the reason that's a thing, because like teams were just taking like weird days off, so, like you know what I'm saying. So like that's why
scheduling so weird.
Yeah, let's get high. Appreciate the sub with Prime.
Consistent until maybe like this week, where like teams are actually like, okay, we're like back kind of like on a season schedule. So I think that could have been the case. I can't see it in the scrim schedule, and I don't know how.
I also think you're right. It was that same day where like the aims was.
Yeah,
fucked.
no, it was 100%. The SOG came out that day, and that's what fucked up AR values.
Well, one thing I will say though, and I don't know if this like rushed the process or not, but like we were asked if like what were the GAs, because I think I don't know. This is kind of what I took from it, is that they were gonna try to put them input them into the rank system, but like I don't know if that was rushed. My thing about the GA chat is that, bro, I promise you, for snipers, we asked like 10 days in a row. There was probably maybe 3 votes every day.
I feel like that's always been a thing, dude. Like even back.
But
in
then the SOG was instantly like 5 or 6.
That's where I start.
That's why I start
arguing though, Kenny, why it should be public, right? That's why when people say like when you were just talking about how it should be quiet, which I understand the positives of it being behind closed doors, right? Because you don't get a lot of the just outside noise involved. But I just think having it public will just eliminate that. It'll eliminate.
I was more so referring to like
lazy,
you guys, to be fair, not the community. I was more so talking about like you guys. Like if y'all wanted to be in the conversation, I feel like that should be more private than like us being on stream.
To be honest, I don't even like. Ben was doing his whole presentation talking about a chairman and shit. I don't want to do that. Like I don't want to be the chairman or anything like that.
That's more so what I was talking about. I don't care for like both being like public or not, but.
Yeah, we were in that question yesterday with Austin. Like Austin thought like, oh, this is a situation where like the agenda is published ahead of time and it's on stream. It's like, well, I understand some of this conversation is better in a private setting because people are more transparent. Maybe you guys can talk about non-public information, like when the developers say things are going to get fixed or like this or that. You know what I'm saying? But I wanted to circle back to something and have you expand upon it because I think it's going to help kind of break some of the deadlock here. Like, you said multiple times during this conversation that like only a couple of people are chatting in that group. Like, is it basically just the top teams, or there people on the bottom?
I kid you not, it's been 4 or 5.
Yeah, like I said, this is my first year in the chat. This is my first year in the chat, so I can't really speak for like previous years. But this year, like I said, the sniper got brought up like 8 times, like literally, like and there was maybe 3 votes. So like at that point, I'm thinking like nobody really cares for the sniper, because when the SOG was brought up, because we tried it, like our team tried it, and I think we were playing LAT, and LAT maybe used it for a map or 2, and I'm looking at the votes. I go to the chat, I look at the votes. It's already like 5 or 6 votes, and it's at like 6 votes out. So I'm thinking at this point, wow, like if all these other people that don't vote normally are instantly voting it out, this shit gotta be OP. No, that's like my whole thing on it. And I asked my team, they said they don't care if it's in and out. So I was like, all right, we vote out. Because like obviously it got to be OP. But the sniper, I asked, like I even had to like beg people for votes, and it's like at that point, is the sniper even good? Is it not good? Like it just feel like pity votes at that point to just get people to stop like begging them. But that's kind of what I was saying. It's like that's what I was kind of saying. Like a lot of these players, I feel like, and I don't mean no disrespect to them, but they may not actually know what is like supposed to be said, and like that's why I was saying like
It's
at the end of the day,
understandable.
it's just a vote, and I feel like your vote is your
I think
vote.
it's
Like
more of
we
the
just need a
principal
vote.
radiation.
You know what I mean? Nobody's begging for anything else but a yes or a no.
Yeah, exactly. Cody.
Hour in, and I think that like that's another issue is because like it doesn't matter who comes to talk. You guys can come into conversation, whatnot. These people still need to vote. Like y'all can't force them to vote.
100%, and that was.
And I agree,
Go ahead,
Kenny,
Tom.
with you having to force people to vote is kind of like a pity vote almost. Like they're just throwing in a
Exactly.
random. They're just following the herd at that point, just throwing in a
Exactly.
random fucking vote. You know.
But it works like that in any committee or any.
Oh, bro, it's
Con-
been like that. Yeah, I remember.
It's always gonna be like
Bro,
that. There's not everybody's gonna have an
literally,
outspoken
this is
voice.
how, and Sam can probably vouch. I don't know if Sam was ever in GAs. Bro, we used to put in all caps, optic, fucking rise this in, need
Yeah,
vote,
need
and then
for.
change
Yeah.
Wait, no.
Wait,
That's
like
what we're
you
doing.
can't
That's
for
what's
fucking
happening though.
That's what I'm
That's
saying.
happening.
That's how we had to like force votes, and then if they were not voting within 5 minutes at the player, their rep, and you're just trying to force votes, and like Ken said, at that point they're just getting like, they're just like.
They hit you with a we
Okay.
don't care. Vote it
Yeah,
out.
they hit you with the
So
like, all right, fucking no, like,
Yeah, exactly.
whatever, like.
So getting to what kind of what I'm proposing, like wouldn't the system I'm proposing be better because you're basically doing that in real time over the course of a meeting and you don't have that lag time. You're not trying to bully people into voting. Like if they want to be in that vote process and not vote, like you get the ability to abstain, but like at least you would resolve that question in real time instead of fucking harassing people in a DM group and adding them and hoping they fucking respond eventually.
Bro, let's be honest. And these rep votes too, everyone that's in it probably mutes that chat, isn't constantly looking
100%.
at it. They
100%.
don't want notifications. They ain't looking at that shit.
I'm sorry, if you're in that rep chat and you're muting the chat, then why the fuck are you in the rep chat?
bro.
Exactly. Okay, to be fair, I
That's
think
fucking
they just,
insane to me.
to be
I'm
fair,
sorry.
I
That's
think
disqualifying.
random people are just added because, like I said, I don't
Bro.
even know. I've
And
never
the
been in a GA chat, and I just got added. So like, I just I don't know.
That's
And
disqualifying if you do
The
that.
thing is too is like, bro, all the OGs are gone. So like these new reps, like they haven't probably even been a part of it. They don't know what the
See,
fuck going on.
exactly.
They're probably just like.
100%. They're
But
along
the
for the
amount
ride.
of times, I remember the amount of times, even when I was a player, and now when we like just obviously coaching, where it's like, we'll scrim a team, we're like, yo, we need your vote, motherfucker, go vote, like, yo,
You're in game
yo,
chat.
look at the chat, vote up, like no bullshit, like
No,
you're just trying to
No,
force,
there's no
like that's
urgency
how
with
you
it
do
for
it.
sure.
Guys, I will say also the GA chat should only have one person from each team. It should be like pretty simplified. That way it's not clouded, like just filled with a bunch of bullshit in there of just people just going
Wait,
back
is it
and
not?
forth. I was about to say, I feel
No,
like
it
that's
is.
how
It is.
it's always been.
It is.
Oh, it is? Okay. I thought when you
So
said
they just
people
picked
add
one
random
person.
people and shit, I'm like, who the fuck's even in there? If they're just
No.
adding them?
I meant like I think Spencer is the one that obviously runs
Okay,
it.
Which
but
was
he just added random
adds a random person, is what you're saying?
No. So he just picked random people from each team, is what I'm saying. Instead of like people that wanted to, like for example, last year our rep was Ant.
Okay.
This year it's me.
Wait.
What?
Like, what is Spencer's criteria for picking the people
He's
that
just
go into
picking
the
That's
people
what
that
I'm
he can
saying.
type the easiest on Twitter, bro.
That's
Bro.
what I'm saying.
Jesus
He's picking
Christ.
people with the shortest names.
Hey, Ralphie, appreciate this whole
Hey,
time.
bro, what
Thank
the
you.
Fuck?
And don't get it twisted. I don't mind being in the chat. I'm not like tripping about it. I am losing brain cells being in it because it is fucking comedy how many people don't respond. Like, and then you
It's
see that,
always
and
been
then
like
I'm in
that,
the H
man.
chat and they responded. I'm like, hold
Interesting.
on, bro.
Hmm.
Like,
Ernie
no,
said
You're
you
also
gotta
in that
start a
other
GA
chat, right?
vote right now for knives, by the way. So keep your eyes peeled on the GA chat, apparently. Because
Wait,
apparently,
neither now a GA topic?
it's a vote, apparently. Apparently, Scrappy's starting the vote right now. What you should be putting back in there is the sniper again and redo a revote. On the sniper.
Well, hold on. What's the reasoning for the knives? You know?
Wait, the knives have always been GA, to be fair, though. I think
Yeah,
knives
okay,
that's
are
true.
cheese.
okay. Can I also say something too about the
Wait,
sniper?
neither cheese.
This is what I found this to be fun. That's why I think the clout shit is fucking hilarious because people will come on stream, defend the sniper, and then vote it out.
Nah,
Is
that's
that
Well,
not
so
comedy?
that's
That's
what
not
I
comedy.
have highlighted that for
That's
years.
not
crazy,
comedy,
man.
no?
I have highlighted that for
Nah,
years.
that's
Ken,
crazy, Ken.
that people
Am
are
I
too
Crazy.
about
tweaking?
it.
It's crazy.
Am
No,
I
you're not
tweaking?
tweaking. I have said this. I have said. Listen,
What?
I get roasted on stream by saying
crazy.
this. The people, I'm like, listen, y'all love the pros, but there are some pros that absolutely take y'all for a ride and say one thing privately and one thing publicly, so that they don't
Exactly.
get cooked.
He said, "I
And
got
they're
them, fellas."
straight lying to y'all.
That's
And
what I'm
it's
saying.
hard to hold
That's
them
what I'm
accountable.
like. That's why I
Yeah.
think that's why I'm calling it corny because I'm just like, bro, I just saw you on stream, like talking
Knives are
about
out,
the
GGs. Go
like,
next.
I'm like, bro, I'm like,
Yeah,
you were
Gio's
just on the
been running
stream
up.
talking about like sniper should be in, and then I see you voted out, and so I'm just like,
You're
am I
hella
black?
confused. You watching
Am
the
I?
stream, you look at the DM, that just said out.
Oh God, I'm
What the
like,
fuck?
hold on, am I tweaking? But like, it's just stuff like that. Like, I don't really understand, and I feel like maybe teams just have like their whole team is just like has on a different like I guess
Yeah,
my
that's
mindset.
fair.
But
Yeah. It could be more of a team thing rather than an individual thing. But I mean,
I'm
regardless,
outvoted.
I think that's why these talks need to happen, bro. Like these talks should definitely happen. Even if it's everybody together, like you guys
We're
can do
chilling
it on
today,
Discord
Pancam.
too.
How
You
are
guys
you?
can host like a stage on Discord
good
where
GA
the
talk.
12 representatives can talk, and then there's a stage where all the players can listen, but nobody can talk.
Yep.
That
I
way, nobody
mean-
talks over each other. I know it'd be kind of funny, but it's like it's professional, bro. Like it'd be like it had to be
But
done right.
It,
You
wouldn't
guys
it be
can
the
go through
same
each
thing though? Isn't
It's
it?
gonna be the
It's
same
still
thing.
going to
It's
be
gonna be the
3 or
same
4
thing.
people talking and taking
Nah,
over the entire
100%.
No,
conversation.
it's not.
No, but it gives the
because
opportunity to raise their
because
hand and ask questions.
yeah,
if they
you
want
can
to.
Dude,
actually
if they're not talking in the
communicate and ask
DM, there's no
questions.
way they're talking IRL.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well,
I
that's
agree.
I actually think it's the opposite. I think if
Really?
they're not talking in the DM, yes, that's why you get them IRL, so they do
So,
start talking. You
can-
know what I mean? You
can I
bring it to the
expand?
table and like make
But
them
that's
talk.
where the bullying part comes into play. That's what I'm saying. It's
Well,
like
Yeah, but
you got to
I
bully
mean,
these people
Kenny,
to vote.
I don't think it's really bullying, bro. These
know,
are
okay,
grown
obviously,
men.
it's a better- it's a-
Like, bro, these are grown men, and this is like part of their career, part of their job.
Yeah,
like,
are they grown men?
That's what I'm saying. Thank you, Dan.
brother,
That's what
brother,
I'm
you're,
saying.
That's why I don't
you're,
think
you're
it's
18.
bullying,
You're an
bro.
adult.
That's why I
You're an
don't think
adult,
it's
bro.
bullying,
I guess
you know?
people do
Like,
respond
you
better
can
in
be an
person
adult,
if
you
they're
ain't a
like
grown
pressured
man.
and
Well,
forced to.
I hear what you're
But
saying.
if it's
I
like,
think to
oh,
expand
you're
what you're saying,
just going to a
Tom,
town
like,
hall
we
and
shouldn't,
Yeah,
we
no,
talking about
shouldn't
it.
just look at it through the
But if they're
lens
pressed,
of like
then I
how
could
it
see it,
works
for
now.
sure.
Like part of the reason that I went to this exercise is to make a better process so that in 3 or 4 years of doing it, people are conditioned to really getting involved at the level they want to be involved. To your point now, Ken, like, you know, it's very few people that are, but maybe once you start doing it,
Everyone
plus the
uses
Tom
different type of
talks about,
headphones.
people talk up in those conversations.
Yeah,
This
I-
is
We
my
use like
take.
Razer
That's my
ones
take on
at
it.
the
I think
office, but
you
I'm
say the
using
votes
like
should be
these
public. I feel
Shure
like
ones now, just in
if
ears.
you want to get teams to actually vote, honestly, it should be more private. Like they should.
No, it doesn't have to be public, Kenny.
Not
It
like that.
doesn't
Not like
have
I'm not
to.
saying public like
I
that.
just-
I'm
I
also
just
saying
want
like
the
there shouldn't be a
structure.
chat. There shouldn't be a chat like there's a full chat because I feel like some people like the vote should be anonymous basically. That's
Oh yeah. It could be. It could. You say you were to do it public, the votes could be anonymous. They could, and so can the discussions. Like the
It's going on
discussions
YouTube.
can
I might
also
post the whole
be
thing on YouTube.
like
We'll see.
not like right. It could be anonymous. Like nobody know. You guys can do that privately, like off streams. I just think that it needs to happen. Like that actually needs to happen. From just my experience, like I always feel like bringing it up on stream and shit actually makes things happen because again,
That's what I'm saying. 'Cause
Oh,
people don't want to
100%.
get hatred from the community. That's like that's the part that I
right,
find to
which
be
is
so
a
funny.
problem, bro. Like that gives me immature, childish. Like,
Exactly.
if you're not an adult to do it off stream. Why is it that when you get pressed and you're finally getting yelled at to do it, you do it, right? Like that's just like that shouldn't be a
Facts.
thing.
Yeah, I
That
do
just
agree.
shouldn't
If
be
it
a
was
thing.
in person and they got pressed, like, yo, what's your opinion on this? Then it's completely different.
Oh yeah, 100%. That's why I always like doing things like, but you'll get way more done like talking to people face to face or talking in a call, right? Like I always say this even with my phone every day, right? Like if I gotta talk to somebody about some shit, like even if
You and I
I
have this conversation all the time,
stop
bro.
fucking
I
texting
feel
me.
now.
Like call me. What do you want to talk about? Give me a call so we can actually talk about it. Like stop texting me these little fucking sentences and shit. Like just fucking call me so we can talk about this shit and actually like figure it out. Right? Like it'll just make everything so much better and make everything run so much smoother to where we won't have to have these topics every year about
My thing is though, I feel like if Spencer was to individually DM every single player that's in the rep chat on its own, we would probably get more out of it. That's just
I agree with that.
that's honestly my take because like people don't want to get roasted by the players also in the chat. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of that thing of like, oh, this team, oh shit, this team, I'm just gonna say Boston. This team, Boston voted this out, and we're just roasting them in the chat.
So,
It's just like,
so hold on.
I've been guilty.
You can do it. There's plenty of
You are brain dead.
There are plenty of ways to have a process that's a secret ballot. If that's a concern that like people even in the DM group don't want to have their name attached to a vote, like there are plenty of ways to do a secret ballot that would then just tally up the votes, and then you would just never know.
I just think you'll get more done that way. That's just
I think
that's the
that's
only way
smart.
that makes sense because people don't type it. Like if you don't want to talk like in a call, that's completely fine. But you're typing at this point. You don't have to like actually like talk to the person. So like, how is it so hard to vote? To just type 3 letters or 2 letters, hour in, and people aren't doing that. And I feel like the only thing that kind of makes sense in my head is that they don't want to get backlash. And it's like,
I also think that like you said that this year, like obviously you got put in and you haven't put in, and if that's the case for other teams though, like if they don't want to be in, they should ask like one of their teammates, like, yo, you want to be in this shit, and just fuck off if you're not gonna like contribute to that shit.
It should be more mandated, like
Spencer should just send out a little form and be like, yo, which one of you is responsible and like wants to be
and
a part of
if
this
you don't
chat.
vote by 12 p.m. tomorrow night, you don't have a vote.
Then some teams probably would actually not put somebody. I swear.
Then they don't get a vote.
Anybody
then,
who's stepping up and
that's a good
actually
point.
talking about this shit, bro, shouldn't be getting any backlash. Because I've seen
100%.
backlash on a lot of players that are actually
Um,
trying to come up and talk. Whether you agree with their opinions or not, at least they're here having a conversation, and they don't really, you know
100%.
what I mean? Like we
To be
got
fair, I will agree, and I mean, I don't want to come off like cringy, like I'm not trying to be that person, but like
yeah.
I do understand when people are coming at me for saying what, because I made a YouTube video saying like, oh, we voted the Sog out even though we didn't care if it was in or out, but like
Yeah.
realistically, like from like my understanding, like bro, the way that the GA chat was working, I'm assuming that shit's so like people don't like it's gone because like I said, the snipers. It took us 2 weeks to get the snipers out. It took us literally maybe 2 hours to get the Sog out. So I was just honestly just on the wave, like, okay, well, it's also
If it's
a
6-0 by
gun.
the time you see the chat, that shit's gonna be
That's
gone.
what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. And the sniper, I'm having to beg people like for a vote. And I'm
Bro,
just
you know why you gotta beg those? Because every single team that I've asked has no reps with the snipe. People
Yep.
probably use the SOG at least a couple of scrims.
Yeah.
Nobody sniped in S&D. So like when you're asking for these votes, they don't know how to vote because they don't know.
100%.
Austin told me he played
but what if
one
people
search
don't
scrim
snipe?
yesterday
What if
with a
people
snipe.
don't snipe? What do you think they should do if their team doesn't snipe at all? Like
Then they're just gonna vote it out because they don't do it.
Exactly.
Okay, so then that's what I'm saying. Like what
That's probably why I got voted out because they don't use it, so they don't care. So they're gonna vote no.
Right. Doing it public will
But,
also
like-
eliminate that bias, I feel. That bias of people just voting whatever the fuck they want because they
Yeah.
think they can, right? Like
Yeah.
in person,
The bias probably got worse.
it gets
Oh,
worse
100% it
because
got worse.
publicly
Now it's
you could-
48 votes. It's
and I
48
think
spots.
Austin and Asim, I think, said something yesterday, like, nah, but then the bias would just flip, right? It would just flip to like, you know, the bullying again and just the clout
Yeah,
side
the
of it.
community, the community,
Right, the
gonna bully vote.
community side of it. But the only reason why I might disagree with that is because, again, people who, if they're coming on and explaining their side, it's way different. There won't be any more assumptions. Like people can actually argue good cases.
Oh, if you can get people to actually come on and explain,
Yeah.
then
Right.
by
No,
all means, that's
I'm
great,
expecting at
but
least half the teams to just be like,
I'm mind
no,
blown if
we
you get
don't
that.
want it in. Like, it's not going to benefit our team.
Like I'm mind blown if you get that because I mean, if I'm being honest, some of these people are actually socially awkward anyways. And that's just a fact, and that's fine. But it's just like that's why you type in the chat. That's why you type in the chat. That's why you type in the chat. It's a fact. Is it not a fact? I'm just keeping it real.
I got no say.
I'm just keeping it real. I'm just keeping it
Nah,
real.
keeping it 100.
And that's why you
Some
type.
players just don't like, they don't like to talk. Like
Here's
they're
the
just
crash.
more
Here's the
shy or more
crash out,
quiet. There's
please,
nothing wrong.
gentlemen. Here's
Like,
And
the
that's
crash
why
out.
you. And if you can't get them to type, how the fuck you gonna get them to come on stream in front of
Yeah,
people in the community to talk? Like that's why I think, like I said, the best possibility, like best way we can actually handle it is to get people to individually vote. Like Spencer has to, or if whoever wants to do it, has to just DM everybody individually so they can vote. And like if they want to give their opinion, then it should just be anonymous. So they can
That's
at least say
that's
what they
what I
want
was
to say.
saying yesterday with
I-
like the CDL being involved in some capacity, like to have accountability
I
because the
completely
players
agree.
clearly don't have it. I think that Spencer or the CDL or some entity within the league needs to be the one facilitating these conversations instead of just some random group chat with Spencer in it. Like Spence, if it's gonna come down to him actually DMing people for votes, I think that's much more appropriate. And if they don't reply to him, guess what? Your team doesn't get a fucking
Get a
vote.
vote?
I actually don't. I don't think.
I think you make it even more simple, bro. Like there are easy tools to do secret ballots that are, you know, like the tool itself knows that only a certain amount of emails or usernames are the ones that can respond to the poll. It's a time poll, and to your point, if you don't vote in time, you don't vote in time.
Yeah, just send
That's
them a
what it is.
Google link with a yes or no info on the fucking
Yeah.
gun, and if they're not opening
But
that
does
shit,
that
then they
change the
don't answer, you're
biases
done.
of the vote though? If you give them
Yeah,
like
I was
a
gonna say.
time,
Oh, it's
like,
never gonna change.
You know
the
what I mean?
bias.
Like
with the vote, there's always gonna be the bias.
yo, you got
Yeah.
30 seconds to vote. They're like, I'll just get it out there. Fuck it. They don't even
Well,
know
no,
we're
you
voting
give them
for.
like you'd give them a reasonable amount of time. You're not
No,
gonna
no,
like
even
the
if
next
they're
10 minutes
signed
or
up,
it's fucking in.
I mean,
But
Okay.
I just think the
there are ways to
mandate
get more
allows it
advanced on
for it to be so much
Yeah.
better. Honestly, like I think more. It just like provides so much more if it is mandated. If we're actually trying to change the system.
I agree. And also, I think moving forward, because if Spencer is facilitating or whoever in this case, I think you could also throw things on Louise BenJ where the docket here, where like in the
Yeah.
future, we're going to be like, okay, after stage 1, we're going to reevaluate the M4. If you guys want to use it in practice leading up to that vote, like this is your warning now. So if you want to get the reps in to understand if it's going to be used or not, like this is your warning. And if it hits that point and there's no vote, again, your team doesn't get a vote.
Isn't
Like,
that what they do with the map
Can I,
rules?
can I also say something though about the biases
do.
of the votes? Because I feel like a lot of people like say like teams vote like for example, you said that some teams vote snipers out because they don't use it and like certain guns. But I feel like wouldn't y'all agree that I'm gonna be 100? The shit teams should should have voted to keep the OP guns in because that's
To
their
lower the
chance.
That's a chance. That's for chance for
Yeah,
them.
lower the skill.
That, doesn't that make
100%.
sense?
That's what I would do,
100%,
bro, if
bro.
I was on a.
Yeah, I want the
worst
Krigan
team.
if I'm fucking Falcons for sure.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
See,
My bad.
that's
Sorry.
That's insane, but
Sorry.
it's
I mean,
true.
it doesn't. You would think so. It doesn't like
But then you just have the other team just has an OP gun.
Austin talked about this. Like he, at least for him and in his value structure, like he felt like that always broke his value structure, even when he was on bad teams like LAG or whatever. Like where he
Yeah.
knew he was on a top team, like they were still going to vote for what was best for the game, even though it might hurt them individually.
But that
And
is
as a
no
team.
longer a
I was
thing.
gonna
It's
say
all-
that.
I don't think
that's
that's-
not a thing
yeah.
anymore.
Yeah,
It's a gentleman's
that's sad.
agreement league with no gentleman. We're just slash.
Yeah, I was about to say.
That's
That's the
not a thing
problem,
anymore.
man. That's what I was saying with like now it's just so many new generation people that one could give two shits.
Wait, Ben,
but
can
that's
we,
probably why Ken gets no responses.
Ben, can we bring up what
Yeah.
we were talking about with Dylan Envoy before too? And
Yeah,
what
go
happens
ahead.
if someone actually does break a GA?
Oh,
Yeah.
shit.
Bro, think about like if like a top team actually broke a GA, would a bottom team legit play an AM team over that
No.
blacklisted team?
If you guys DM'd anyone in the bottom part of the league for scrims when they're quote unquote
mean,
blacklisted, they would play
First
you.
of all, the
Bro,
punishment
there,
was
I don't think
ass.
there's no punishment.
Last
that,
year,
I don't
the
think there's not a
punishment was
single
ass.
punishment. Yeah, exactly. Because they could have
I
just
ain't
like
gonna
imagine
cap,
a good
bro.
team does it in the grand finals.
That's
Okay,
what I'm
lose the
saying,
scrim
like,
after the grand finals. Oh shit! All right, cool.
Like we have this dark
That's
cloud over this whole thing, but I'm just thinking to myself like, is this like at this point in this day and age in the CDL, do you think it's actually enforceable?
Well, what is, I mean,
I-
I don't know if you guys want to tell me, but like, what did Seattle get last year for the amount of
They
They got
stupid shit
blacklisted
were doing?
once, I'm pretty sure.
They were the first team, right, to break a
Yeah,
GA?
they broke like
Yeah.
5 GAs last year. What
They
what
got
happened?
blacklisted once, and
Should
it
we,
was
should
for
we
like
say
what?
it? Should we say it?
I
fucking
don't
know.
remember
I mean,
what
if
it
there's no
was, but it was
punishment,
just
then-
once.
I think
Bro,
it's
that shit,
important.
listen,
to-
bro.
it would help.
Listen, bro. It wasn't good enough that honestly, I was just like, yo, we might as well break one GA.
Oh, it was the warm up shit, right?
Yeah, okay,
Bro.
yeah.
Oh no, that was public. They
Mhm.
didn't
That
get
was
one
Like,
vote.
what, they
didn't
lost
get-
one
they didn't
warm-up
get
or something?
for a match. Where I was like, yo,
Yeah, that was public.
That's it. They didn't get
yo,
a
for
warm up.
10 points, I was
Shit.
like, yo,
Wow.
squad, for 10 points, we might have to take that L, boss. Yo,
Bro,
start
people
snaking,
voluntarily
bro.
don't warm up for matches. What?
Bro, you
insane.
just go shoot
said-
bots, bro.
I was like, yo, that's a slap on the wrist. Yo, start snaking for these 10 points.
Realistically,
right.
guys, if there's any rule break in a GA, that team shouldn't be scrimmed for like a week. And I know what you're saying, JP, right? If the top team does
But then
it,
you have to
right,
get the
right.
AM, you have to get the AM teams in on it too, though. Because
Yeah,
then-
yeah.
Well, you can't
And
scrim
the
AM
AM
teams.
teams
There's
are
gonna
not
be
gonna
different
agree to
counts,
that.
Different patches, all types of
Yeah,
shit
that's what
comes
I
into
was
play
saying.
with that.
That was,
Mm.
were you a part of that,
I-
Sam? I was
Kind of,
saying
but
that.
they're-
Like,
I mean,
I
them
don't think
playing
so.
AM teams is definitely still worse than
But,
not.
Well,
but,
it
like,
should-
do you
the
think?
impact
But do
is
you
a
think a
feasible
bad
option,
team,
though.
like a team at the bottom of the table, is gonna chalk up a practice for, let's say just us? Like, let's say we broke a GA. We're like pretty good practice for that bottom team. Do you think they'd rather play the AM team just because of this whole blacklist thing?
nah, I think they play you.
I would rather, yeah. If I'm on a lower tier team and you guys are great practice, I'm gonna play you regardless if you're fucking blacklisted or not. For sure.
Yeah, I mean that's just I mean
We've seen how blacklisting went, especially for Optic.
I bet. I don't know. The GA pundit. I always
Optic
thought.
would just
I,
tweet out,
I
yeah,
always
we're
thought it
blacklisted,
shouldn't be a
LOL.
strength thing.
Jesus
I always thought
Christ.
that it need the first penalty of breaking GAs needs to be insane, and like, I always thought that it should
Yeah.
be land practice.
You know what I said though? I feel like, I mean, maybe I'm faded. I feel like teams should lose a veto. That's what I think. I think
bro,
in the
I
veto
thought it was
process, you
that,
should
or
lose
just
that.
you don't get scrims at events. Like the first
would
event
be
after you
insane,
break
like,
a
it's
GA,
the
you don't
next
get
game,
fucking
But
scrims.
then you hold a team that's at the event.
That is also
Yeah,
a
like
good
a
point.
land veto or
Yeah.
something.
You could
There
double
has to be
team,
some
though. You could
accountability,
double-
but
you could
do you-
I
double
feel
team.
like losing a veto is way better because, like, let's say, oh, this team did this, and like,
Hell no, bro. The team you play picks all 5 maps. Hold that.
yeah, fuck that. Yeah.
hey, that's
The fuck? You broke
Yeah,
GAs,
you broke
brother.
GAs
Hey.
all 5 maps for
Hey,
sure.
I think that's
Claire's
better than no
gonna come.
scrims.
Yo, Claire's gonna come. Oh, well, this is the match that.
Welcome to the
yo,
spin
Optic,
cycle.
you pick all 5 maps.
Optic somehow is playing retreat hardpoint 5 times. Good luck, guys.
Yeah, Claire's just like, yeah, we don't need you for vetoes. It's actually just, it's already been
Yeah,
decided.
you broke a GA.
Like I mean, I might be in the
I'm saying
minority.
it had
on
to
that,
be
but I
all
feel like
5
the,
maps,
the
but-
penalty needs to be like severe.
I think
in
it
my
has to be
opinion.
match related though.
So,
That's what I think.
I was
gonna say-
when it's practice related, it doesn't really
Nah,
matter.
this-
Would
I
the
think it's
CDO and
matches, though.
Activision ever get their hand in it though? That's I
Yeah,
thought
that's what
that
I
the whole
gonna
that
say.
was the whole thing.
CDL has to step in that, and it's just like, I don't know, we enforcing that, boss.
No.
Can you
Well, okay,
imagine?
so
can
this-
you
this-
imagine the overlay? Like the
Yeah, the
boom,
overlay
boom,
of the
boom,
stream.
boom, the overlay.
Optic broke
Well, I mean- I
GAs,
mean,
no
listen,
veto.
Kyler snaked.
I
5
think
maps,
this so the way that the easiest way to do this, like, because CDL involvement gets a little bit dicey, is again, if you had a stronger fraternity, and let's say you did have this committee thing that I'm proposing, And as part of the charter of the committee, it outlined what happens when you broke these rules. Like the committee would enforce that the methods that you outlined. But obviously that doesn't exist, and it doesn't sound like you guys' point.
That would
like,
be insane.
Dylan
Ali got
Envoy
an aimless
pulled
on
out the
desk.
SOG. No
Ali got
hard
an
point
aimless
veto.
on the desk trying to fucking analyze a match. Well, yeah, squad. So Kyler Snake. So as you see here, their opponents picked all 5 maps. They're just, bro, that would be insane.
Nah, I mean, realistically, how it would work is like, bro, you like, all right, yo, you broke a GA, you don't get a hard point veto. You need to veto what we tell you to veto. Like, since you're playing us, like,
I for sure.
you get 2 vetoes?
Yeah, like we don't want to play this map, so you got to veto it for us, and we're forcing you to play the maps that we want to play. Like, obviously, not all 5 maps, but it could be just hard point alone, whatever, or S&D, like depending on whatever the team that didn't break the rule, that's playing the team that broke the rule, obviously once in that veto process. And I feel like that, because it needs to be something match related, because at the end of the day, bro, if it's practice related, nobody's gonna really care.
Fuck it, you just start down 2-0,
bro.
bro.
About to say that the whole losing practice shit is chalked for a punishment.
Yeah.
Like, is there a world where you guys could double book at an event for a team that is blacklisted from a GA break? Like, when you guys would play 2 scrims?
Nah, it gets fucked because like maybe it'll have to be Wednesday scrims, but like Thursday scrims, like because usually how it works, right? It's Thursday winners plays.
Yeah.
Right, the winners bracket.
Yeah, that Friday off,
and
so you play the losers teams.
Yeah, that day the losers teams warm you up, so like you can't
you can't chalk up a losers team thing.
Yeah,
that's fair.
And then the next day winners teams. Like I guess that's when you can fuck one of the but it's only if they're in losers. Yeah, you see what I'm saying? Like if
there's
you're
like a caveat to it.
The only time you can fuck them is like you said, it's Wednesday scrims, but then someone gets fucked unless someone, like you said, is playing 3 scrims to like make up for that. Which shit, Vancouver's
on top
always
of
down
all
for
the shit
3
you gotta do
scrims on Wednesday. Them boys got 4 scrims booked on Wednesday.
I don't know. I think like Ken's idea is not bad. Like the map pick thing.
No, it has to be. But then like we said, then the league has to step in to enforce that, and it's just like.
You think so? I don't think so, because like if all the teams are like in agreement, and all you have to do is tell the other team like, yo, we want to vote this, and then they kind of have to. And if they don't follow that, then I don't know, man.
But then it's still not enforceable because like
then we just beat that. Yeah, then you just fight them.
That's what I'm saying. They're gonna pull up like, yo, I'm the coach and I just fuck up the GA. I'm like, I don't know what they talking about, Claire. My veto is hard point red card. I don't know what the fuck this guy talking about.
I think you're getting to a point where.
Could you imagine Claire dealing with that? Oh my god.
I made this analogy before, like.
Hey, Prosper, appreciate the 9 months.
Gentlemen agreements, it only gets so far. Like JP, you're obviously a big hockey fan. Like, you know the origin of why fighting exists in hockey, right?
Where are we going?
I don't know the origin.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'd assume it's like someone. There's top player got hit.
Like
and
the way the hockey used to work, it doesn't work now. It's like the refs basically did nothing, and like the only way that teams push back on bad hits, bad checks.
You're good.
Yeah. I'm gonna circle back. Trust me, there's a point to this. Like in hockey, you basically get to a point where fighting exists in hockey because I was the only way that players could actually enforce like bad checks, high sticking shit like that. Because the refs just didn't do anything. The refs were only there to make sure that people didn't like knock each other out on the ice, like kill people. And then it got to a point where you actually had to have a process to referee the game because these hits were actually dangerous. I think you'd get to a point where you can't really enforce the GAs, into the point of the chat. Like if you actually want to penalties on these things. You would actually need the league to be able to enforce it because they could actually they would be able to fulfill an actual penalty. 100%. You know what I'm saying? And it'd be a monetary thing is probably the easiest way to do it. Practice isn't like these sort of other triggers are not really doable, but like monetary, you could take.
Wait, what do you mean? What do you mean monetary? Like fines? Could they do that without like a players union?
Yeah, I think the issue with monetary is like, what about the not accidental ones, but like for example, like snaking, like. There's like a fine line between like what's snaking and what's like pop-up glitching, whatever the fuck you want to call it, or what's a pump, what's not a pump. And I feel like monetary would be like kind of crazy because then you have to go through the whole process of like.
Well, then it'd be like what it is with soccer and red cards, right? You get a red, you get a red card.
Who decides if it's red or yellow?
So the way it works now in most leagues in soccer, if you get a red card, obviously that's a automatic 1-match ban, but it goes in front of a committee that takes a look at the tackle and sees if it's like a worse tackle. Like if it's a real horror tackle, if you fucking like fluid someone's studs up and tried to kill him.
No, I get that, man, but who's the decider of that? That's what I'm trying to say.
Well, so you would need, so it could be,
this is where Ben's PowerPoint comes in.
So that's where the PowerPoint comes in. It could be a mix of players, coaches, like the board can be whatever you want the board to be.
Yeah.
But like this is the only way to actually have enforcement behind that shit. Because at that point, like all this debate doesn't matter because it sounds like as a fraternity, none of y'all are able to hold each other accountable at like any level. And it's to the point of like getting GA votes to like actually enforcing GA breaking. It doesn't seem like any of that shit's effective right now. Am I wrong?
But how can you, dude? How can you enforce monetary fines through a GA? Like it's not banned in the game.
Yeah,
Because the GAs don't become
Can you
GAs.
imagine the
GAs
backlash that they would get as like as a
the
league?
GAs aren't GAs at that point. They're actual temporary or permanent restrictions of things.
So then
They're
it's just
actual
banned in the
policy.
game. You can't use it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Well,
but how can
well,
that? You can snake. I can snake.
Yeah, snaking
Yeah,
and shit like
snaking,
that is a
yeah.
weird gray area that's a little bit tricky.
That's
what I'm saying
like,
is, like,
legally, how the like?
You have an enforcement problem here, but go ahead, Dan.
No, I was just saying like it's like JP said, you can't ban snaking. You can bang on a Krig. But you
I
can't
think you can
ban
put
snaking.
I think you can put like certain language in the rules that allows an enforcement of something like that
Yeah.
if it were to be a thing. I
Yeah,
think you
2
could
pumps.
definitely do that.
Two
I mean, I don't
pumps.
think you would call it
Pumps.
pumps, but like you would definitely suitify it a little bit. And I think there's words
Get the
in it.
lawyers on it.
There's like some verbiage you could
Slowly,
definitely use
probably
to
not.
at least
Like,
have
for
it
example-
enforceable, but it's probably not. Yes, correct.
Like, if you pull up to an NFL game and you wear the wrong color of fucking socks, like, you can probably get away with it for most of the game. They're just gonna find you at the end. You know what I'm saying? Like,
But it's different if it's
There-
like an in-game mechanic that
Yeah.
like anyone can do. You know, I don't know. I feel like
well,
there's
snaking's
a
the
insane
snaking's
gray
there's like
area.
the one weird
How-
one that's kind of hard to figure out.
Is it
Yeah,
like
yeah.
this is out of my area of expertise, but would this situation be comparable to things like Valorant, where like you plant bomb in a certain spot, or like the KJ turret thing that happened a while ago? Like
Oh, I see what you
things that
mean.
happen in game, like jump exploits from CS. Like if people do that, like that, is that not a similar situation? Like teams receive punishment for things like that, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
no,
think so. Wait,
I see
did
what you mean.
Big get punished? I don't know.
Like
if
the
Big
whole
got punished.
like the fanatic boost.
Yeah, exactly. So like, would that not be a similar thing to? I'm genuinely asking.
Interesting.
I don't
no,
know. If
yeah,
that could be
I agree.
a
You're
similar
right.
approach. Like, because if that's a thing, then like definitely there could be something added to the CDL where it's like exploit of like movement mechanics or just something to have
Yeah, I
in
see
there,
what you
and then
mean.
the players could use that as a way of enforcing it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said. Those things are just way more black and white, though. I feel like very easy to spot compared to like snaking. So that's
Also,
what I'm
this
saying.
is this
You're
is
gonna have to-
relying
You're
on
gonna have to use the 3 pump bullshit.
this is relying on Activision and CDL like conforming to the whole GA thing
Right, yeah.
too to begin with.
Yeah, that's fair.
Oh no.
Someone made a good comment in my chat. Like, a good example of this was like what happened to Clay's team in Black Ops 3.
Oh, yeah,
the
oh, yeah.
line of
lines of
sight,
sight.
line of sight cheese.
Yeah, because there was language in the rules that were about map and weapon exploits, and technically, it was considered a
Yeah,
map
but that's all I'm
exploit.
saying,
This
like,
is
that
this a
was-
line of sight? Intended line of sight?
Is this an intended line of sight?
I
That's what I'm
remember that
saying,
was
though, Ben.
those
Like
were
that
good
was
days,
just
yeah.
so much. That's easier to spot than snaking. Snaking is just always going to be the weird one.
It is a little bit of a gray area for sure.
Is it? I
Like
feel it's pretty
motherfucker,
easy
you
to
were
tell if
floating on
somebody-
a fucking tree.
I
Compared to
feel like
like
it's pretty easy to tell if somebody does like 3 pumps like blatantly, bro. Just
Yeah, but there's
just,
also
actually
situations
saying-
like Caesar at the beginning of the year when he did it. Like he did 3, but it looked more like he was just trying to like play his life. He wasn't just sitting there like snaking the guy to get a kill. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
and
Like he was getting naded, standing up, laying back down because he got
100%.
tagged, got
And
back up.
I
Like
think those are completely different. Like when people flip out about those, I'm like, it's a gray area. You know what I mean? But some of them are more blatant than others, for sure.
Yeah.
If he's getting shot at from like behind him and in front of him, and then he's getting naded and shit, and things are happening in real time, and I think it's different, right? It's like if you lay down, pop up, get a kill, right? Lay back down, stand back up, pop up, get a kill, lay back down, right? You keep doing it, and you reload it, and you pop back up. Technically, you're snaking, right? Like technically, you're snaking, but
I feel like we could also use this as like a whole different thing too for out that when it's not just
We're
snaking, like
more
things like
talking about
Circo
just the
showing someone in
principle of
chat bar,
handling
like,
GAs,
there's so many
PD.
options for like the in-game shit that if that were a thing that like could be used. Maybe I wouldn't have lost a 100-point lead on
I
Hotel.
do want to circle back to this GA
well,
thing.
now
a little bit,
that was the
but-
reason you lost it, but when you lost it, you tweeted that wasn't the reason.
Ooh,
Yeah, of course not.
oh,
shit.
shit.
Oh,
Being a
shit.
professional.
That didn't fit my narrative at the time. Then
I got you. I love that.
Guys, I think we had a great discussion about GAs, but I think we also need action, right? Like I think action is very
True, we
important.
kind of went on a side tangent.
Yeah, we went on a little side tangent. I just want to make sure that, like, you know, I would hope, and I see a lot of pro players, honestly, in the viewer list. Like, I see people tuning in. I know people are
A
hearing
lot
this
of
shit
teams
right
are
now.
off today, bro.
Yeah, I'm hearing teams are off. I mean, listen, you guys can decide whether or not you want to do shit publicly or not, right? But I think having a call with everybody and getting all the reps in here and revisiting some of these votes would be good, in my opinion. Now you guys can sit here and say, nah, I don't want to do that, but I think it would be a good idea.
I mean, it's
And
been done this year like a handful of times with like the M4. It was retried. The barrel was brought back,
what's stopping us
reinforced.
from after scrims today getting a call going with one person from
Nothing.
each team and I have a stage already made. We can get the representatives on the stage and then everybody else can sit in the crowd. Nobody can talk in the crowd. They can
It
only
would be
listen.
them not wanting to do it public, probably.
Yeah, if they don't want to do it public, then that's on them. But I would hope that it's still at least
I'll
happening.
do this shit off stream. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, I mean, bro, if they want us to do something off stream, we could do something off stream, right? But I think something that's important is like actually taking action here and like actually fixing this shit because it's atrocious, bro. like hearing just like the different opinions and everybody's coming in saying different shit. Every single pro player from every different team has said completely different shit on these GAs.
That's because they all have different experiences in their one day of
Right.
scrims that they tried the
Nobody
thing.
has been aligned with anything they're saying. Everybody's been saying different shit.
Oh,
And I
wait,
think,
Dom.
and the only reason why I think we should do it live is because I think they'll actually do it if we do it live. I think if we don't do it live, people aren't going to be held accountable, and we'll circle back tomorrow, and we can literally wake up tomorrow and nothing will happen, and then nothing will happen in real time. Nothing will ever happen. I mean, that's why we're here again, and that's why we were here last year, and that's why we were here the year
I
before.
think the best plan of action is what you guys said in regarding like the Spencer thing. Because like if a chat's just gonna be dead, why the fuck are you in there? Like if you're not gonna reply to shit, like you shouldn't even be in there. And if no one
100%,
wants to, if no one wants to step up for your team, then you just don't have a vote, brother. Whatever
Hey.
we say you're playing with, you're playing with.
Literally.
Like hold that.
And listen, like there's somebody in the chat that's saying, "Oh, the flank wants all the power." Like, no, bro, you guys can do it on your own too, and we can watch from afar.
Yeah, we
right?
don't
You
give a
guys can do
fuck.
it on your own. We don't give a fuck. Like from our perspective, like we're just looking to make this shit better, bro, because there's a clear disconnect. And bro, I was saying this yesterday, and I'll say it again today. I've been on both sides, Sam. I know you've been on both sides. So we can kind of see things from both ends of the table, and I think we can all agree that, well, me and Sam and Dan, all of us, we can agree that we've been players. We understand why GAs are there and why they're happening, and a lot of the
I was
GAs
a part of
make
the Slasher
complete
World
sense.
League.
Right, 100%.
It's a great time.
And now seeing it from a viewer perspective as well, like we also want the game to be like entertaining, bro. Like,
Yep.
we want the game to be as most entertaining as possible because it'll only be better for everybody. It'll be better. Yes, it'll be better for us, right? Because we're entertainers, right? And we're watching the game, right, for content reasons. But it'll also be better for people like you. It'll be better for the esport. Like it'll be better for everybody as a whole. Like everybody's gonna grow for having the most entertaining, performance, the most entertaining game. Like it'll just help everybody.
Product, yep,
So,
100%.
yeah, the product
That's
is
how it's
everything.
always been.
So
At least I felt
I
like it.
think we should do a call tonight and set a time. If you guys don't want me in there because you think I'm just content farming, which I don't. You know what I mean? You guys can do whatever
content
you want.
farmer.
You know what I mean?
Clout
Yeah,
bro.
Clout
chasing and
chaser.
shit.
You just
Whatever you
you're
guys
just
wanna
in it for
call
the
it.
money, Tom. That's crazy.
You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm in it for the cash. But at the end of the day, man, like I'm gonna keep doing my thing, right? And I'm gonna keep watching, right? I'm always gonna watch COD. I just want it to be the best it could possibly be.
Agreed.
Thank you.
Like I think that the disconnect from players too, because I know there's probably players that like feel hostile against us because we're just like fucking we have a completely different take from when we were playing. I think that we can just like differentiate between the GAs that are necessary, like the Krig, and the ones that like have arguable gray areas like the snipes or SOG, or just like things that can be added to change the game and make it more dynamic and more fun to watch. Like there are obviously absolutes that need to happen in terms of GAs, but there's also lots of things that can be argued that I don't think is getting the stage or the merit in the argument that it deserves.
I don't know. Sam switched up pretty quick. That's crazy.
Oh God, if it's my narrative, man.
I mean, that's.
I was bullying people for snipers and Vanguard in.
Were you? I was
yeah.
I was out of the game by then.
Oh, I was bullying.
Yeah, and I don't.
'cause it fit
I
your
don't
narrative.
know.
Bullied by
Exactly.
Orgorn, and that's real tough.
Listen,
Guess what? I
somebody's
won
gonna
chance I
have
did,
to
it fit
be
my
that
narrative.
guy to get this shit going, bro. And if none of the players are gonna do it, I don't know who's gonna do it. Like Dan, I don't know if you want to do it, Dan, because you're a
Thank you,
coach.
baby.
For
Appreciate it,
what?
Seven.
And
My bad.
literally just get a call going. Like be like, yo, do you guys want to get a call going and talk about GAs? I mean, listen, I feel like behind the scenes, the pro mindset is a little bit different, bro. I feel like most people are gonna be like, I ain't doing that shit. It's already done with. You already heard how they were talking yesterday. And unless somebody actually like steps up to the plate here, like nothing's gonna happen. Nothing will happen. We're just gonna be in a same cycle here, and it's gonna be a waste of time. These discussions are great, man. I love talking about GAs. I love talking about this shit. But
So Tom, hold on. Why don't we just it's to the point of everybody in the chat. It seems like if we get the top 4 teams to be down for this process, like wouldn't everybody just follow? But what do you think, JP and Dan, Sam?
Then we're down for everything, bro. What's up?
Well, Dan's
If it
here.
fits the
Kenny's
narrative.
here. I'm sure we could get somebody from FaZe. I don't think that'll be a problem. I'll just message the
They're
squad. and be like,
they're in
"Yo."
the viewer
Ken
list right
would
now. So I know
most
they're
likely be
watching.
down. I think he's muted, but I wouldn't be surprised.
And then I don't know who you consider the 4th best team, but we can just go down the list, bro.
I'll let
Like,
the
we
I
Easy
mean,
can
Mac
go in-
I mean,
power
I think
rankings have not happened.
Lamar and Dill
Easy
and them
Mac
will probably be
power
down, right?
rankings.
Lamar's probably sitting there saying he doesn't. I'm not going on stream. What the fuck? It is. I don't know what the fuck Lamar's
No way.
right
Lamar
now.
switched up this fast?
What about Dill? What
Yeah,
he
I don't
doing?
think so.
I don't think Lamar switched up. I think Lamar's just a businessman. He likes to keep things private.
I
He
mean,
doesn't.
C9
well,
scrimmage
well,
today.
But what
I'll
about
put him on
Dylan? Like,
blast.
and then on Toronto, like, what is? We like Scrap joined the team like previous years of Toronto. Were they always active in the group chat or no? Like when Ben was on the team,
When I was on the team? What are you asking?
like
Were they
Toronto
active?
pre-Scrap, were they active in GH chat? Does anyone
Oh,
know?
I don't know.
or-
I'm not in G. I don't remember. Who repped? Were you the rep?
Actually, no.
I
Lamar,
think Sam was the rep when I still
was here
played.
last GA chat. No, Lamar was here last GA chat. He was here last
All
year.
right, we're talking
Last
about
year,
we're
yeah.
talking about Toronto. Like, you guys know who has been the rep for Toronto before and now after Scrap? I've seen it was Ben for a while. It had to have been Ben, right? The first couple of years.
Ben Bant? Yeah. I think
Yeah,
so.
probably.
Unless it was, he probably
No,
took
yeah, I
over
think it
after
actually
Zinni. I
was.
think it was Zinni, and then it was probably Ben Bant.
And I know Ben were head of the GH chat now. I think.
I think Dill
he would
was
be
last
down.
year. I don't think it was Scrap last year.
So it's Dill last year. Then who the fuck is it this year? Could
I
be
don't
Ben
know.
Beans. I mean,
I think it is
see
Ben
I can
Beans.
see
I'm pretty sure it's
down.
Ben Beans.
Yeah, I think Ben would be down. Ben doesn't seem like the kind of guy that when I've talked to him about this, like he seems pretty like he'd be involved. And to my point, like I think if you get the top teams to be willing to come in, like, you know, if you at least get half the league, have the conversation, then you pitch it back to people. Like I think you'd find 9 votes, 10 votes in there.
I agree. I think you just need to have
You guys
someone with the
start-
initiative to actually do it.
You guys are someone
it's
like- I
gotta
like-
be one of the players to actually start it.
Like, I see 2 goals. Goal 1, I think Tom, you're doing Lord's work of like trying to figure out if the sniper and Sog GA like actually make a lot of sense or if it should be run back. Like the knives thing, like I get that, whatever. But like the second thing is then like,
That's where
can
people
we
fumbled, bro.
can we
The
figure out a
Sog.
better process? The Sog thing was fucking crazy.
I just don't
I-
get how we
I-
had 2 teams yesterday that made it seem like there were 8 of them on the map, and then Ken comes in here and says, "Nah, it's not even that good." Like, how is there?
Well,
Like,
we
how
didn't
are there?
even- we were getting
two-
called there.
like,
Even
there's
used.
2 such differently, like, drastically different perspectives on the gun. Like, who the
Listen,
fuck
bro,
were they
because I'm
scrimming?
telling you, whoever was scrimming us saw 4 on the map.
That's
and
what
they
I'm
had
saying.
And they had a match pace, bro. My young guns were flying with a Sog. I love that. We got a little trolly.
It happens.
That's
But
fine.
you
That's
get
what happens
trolly
at
and you
Prague.
start
Like,
figuring out metas, bro.
It
Yeah.
happens.
I mean,
You're
Dan,
limit testing with a new gun,
Dan, are
bro.
you willing to be the
I'm
guy
a-
for your team?
I'll be the guy, or I'll bring Paul in here or Justice. I think Justice is our rep in the DM. I'll out him. Fuck him.
I like that.
All right,
He said,
bet.
fuck.
So
you bring out the notepad. You
I'm
bring
bringing
out
out
the
the
notepad right
notepad. Yes, I am.
now?
I
Oh
am
shit, the
bringing out
notepad's being read out.
Teams.
Oh, I gotta see this notepad. Give me 1 second.
Tommy notepad gimmick right here. I love this.
Rep. So
I
I'm
ain't
just.
gonna cap. I
I'm
have no idea what my team voted sniper wise. Dog
Alright.
wise, we folded.
Tom,
We
hit
were like,
view.
yo,
Tom,
we were
Tom,
like,
hit
should we
view.
take the stands?
rocker.
Hit view and hit the make the text bigger, Tom. There you go.
I got it, bro.
Yeah.
We're good, bro. All
Nah,
right,
'cause
for,
we just got hit with the 6-0, like 7-0, like this shit's
Yeah,
ouchies.
it's over
It was
before you
right
even
before.
vote type
No,
shit.
it wasn't even that it was over. I'll keep it a buck. Our perspective, we're down with it. Like Envoy, our Envoy already said it, bro. We were Sog merchants. We were loving that shit. Oh, Esriel is
Dan-
known
Dan
as a
will
Black
join
Ops
up,
4
right?
kid. Remember that?
There's no way Dan doesn't join up.
Dan likes to yap
Yeah,
too
Dan will
much to
join.
not be in that call.
Daniel join.
What the fuck? And then we were
Wait, no, I'm
about to
talking about
scrim
Dan
a team.
Ghosty.
Oh. I was like, what
Yeah,
the
I was
fuck?
talking about Dan
I
Ghosty.
was talking about
then-
Dan Ghosty.
What happened? I think we're about to scrim a team, and then like I think the vote was like 6-7-0. So we're just like, dude, are we gonna waste the scrim on a Sog, or should we just like conform so we already playing with like we're bound to play? That was kind of our
Yeah,
perspective.
that's definitely the
same.
But we
weird
did
awkward
fold.
situation.
Because it was right before scrims. Like if the vote happened like the night before, maybe we stand. But
Bro, I have players
like, right
asking
as we were
on
gonna scrim.
Spawn, what am I using right now?
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's
so it was just
crazy.
like,
That's the worst com ever.
That's
I hate
the
that
worst.
shit.
Yo,
I
can I
hate
use the
that
fucking
shit.
pistol
So
this
we using
time?
it or not, bro?
Yeah, right.
No cap.
what am I
Literally.
using? So that's why we folded. We're like, it's not worth the stand. Like it's probably gonna go through. Like we're about to scrim, just scrim with Jackals already.
Bro, that shit was
Because I ain't gonna lie too, and my player said this, but it is a different feel of shooting like a Jackal and a Sog. Like we use the Sog so much, I think our first Jackal scrim we got slammed. We're like,
Yeah,
oh
the rate of
shit.
fire and shit.
Yeah,
and
we
even
gotta
the
get used
gunfights
to-
you can take,
we
like the
got-
Jackal mid range is way
Yeah,
better
we're like,
than
yo, we
Sog
gotta get
mid-range.
used to the Jackal. Oh shit.
Yeah, I'm texting people right now. I'm getting a list going.
Homie
Like
is
this
hunting
W-
them down.
W-
bro.
Tom's got
press.
motion. Tom's got motion.
Wait, what's the list? What's the list?
I do think it should be player only,
Just
but if
people
I
for a
have
call.
Ken, you
to,
down to talk, bro?
What are we talking
Uh,
about?
GAs and shit.
Just team.
Tonight
He's
again.
getting one person from every team down to talk.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm
Wait,
getting
are we?
one
No,
person.
because I don't want to just talk about the GAs. I feel like we got to have like an actual like reason
Nah,
for
dude.
it. We just talked this whole time. We really didn't get nothing done.
Nah.
I ain't gonna lie.
It's gonna
Well,
be-
we
it's
can't
a
get
message
anything done
for,
here
Dude,
without.
we can't get nothing
another-
done.
No,
Yeah,
no,
we
no,
can't
no,
get
no,
shit
no,
done
no,
here.
no,
I'm not
Productive. It's
saying
gonna
we
be
could. I'm not
productive.
saying we could. I'm just saying it's just like
The point is Tom wants to get like-minded individuals from all teams that are willing to discuss these topics, and ideally by the end of it, like revisit, the GAs and like come to a consensus
Well,
that
no, they
actually
should
makes
vote
sense.
again tonight. They should put it. They
Yeah.
should talk about it and then actually vote about it instead of just doing this little DM back and forth shit. Like they should just talk to their team. Like-
Ken's live. Comedy.
I
I
mean,
mean-
no, I'm down. I'll pull up.
You
I'm
pull
down.
up?
Yeah, I'll pull
W
up.
can.
All right, bet.
That's a quarter of the league right there.
You gotta get the clout where you can get it, Ken. You know.
Yeah,
It's
hey,
like
I
they
hear
Yeah,
can't-
you.
make sure you
they
throw that
can't-
stream up, Ken.
The can's a
Okay.
potluck, so you're gonna need to,
Yo,
make
can I
that
get
dish
10
again.
gifted from my man
I hear you
Ken?
on I hear you on
Yo,
that.
chat, all of you right now with a no vote for 50 gifted.
What?
Yeah,
Yo, Ken,
that-
for 500 gifted, bro, just pull
Yeah.
up the DM on your stream. What's up?
Yeah, wait.
Ghost Town. Look,
Stream,
you
stream the
shit-
DM.
that shit
Stream the
It's a
DM.
ghost town.
Stream the
I've
DM
been a message
live.
for months in there, bro. What the hell?
Leak
What?
that
You
shit
can
like
leave
Nate's earnings.
DMs and so it fits
Hold
your
on, let me
narrative.
scroll down. Let me scroll down to the DM. I gotta scroll like 2 months.
Yeah. Yo, we're gonna start with BO6 launch. So here you go, guys.
Yo, what time do people end scrimming, JP? When do they?
Usually, like
What, like
7,
6:37 CT?
You said
It's
By 8 CT, it's everyone's done 100%.
Yeah, because it just depends if people are playing S&D or like a third set.
All right, so let's do 5 PST. You think that's good?
Yeah,
5
for
p.m.
sure.
PST.
Yeah, they should.
All right, 5 p.m. PST. Listen, we already got Thieves, Optic, and Rocker, bro. I just texted Clay for Falcons. I just texted Crowder from FaZe, right? I'm trying to see who's going to come on from those guys. Or if they say, no, we're not coming on, then I'll keep you guys updated. And then
They
we
tell
also,
me to go fuck myself.
yeah, they say go fuck yourself, then it might be jiggity chalked. And then I think we should go down the list. Ben, give me some teams. I'm gonna start messaging.
Tom,
people.
I'm looking at your viewer
Third.
list right now. Carolina's in your viewer list, so
Oh,
What
yeah.
the
hell?
Ben's
Ben's
ratting
my
him
fault.
out.
I don't
Fed
give a
J
fuck.
Nassim.
I don't-
Fed J Nassim.
Fed
I
J
got-
Nassim,
I
heard.
got chat open.
Motherfuckers
Car-
All
better.
right.
Carolina's in your
Shirley-
chat.
Slasher Shirley comes on and
We
talks.
started
to
looking
me.
at
They're
my
about
viewer
to-
chat.
Yo, homies are about to hit a non-mode real quick. Better
Uh,
to
you know what I mean?
Incognito.
Who else
Homies
is
are-
in here? Who
Bro
else
can't
is
even
in
watch
here?
his Zoom
Yo,
stream
everyone's
in peace.
gonna start adding people they see in the chat.
Nah, they're in here. I'm telling you, there's a lot of pros in the viewer list. They're being real quiet right now. They're sitting back. They're watching. You know what I mean?
They're watching it unfold.
Yo, I kind of want to do a
C9
watch party for this whole fucking thing. Damn.
D9 text
Sam, you
Dylan
down?
Lamar.
Mm.
Dante.
I told Clay to join up. He said sure.
Hey.
Thank you, Clay. He actually said laugh my ass off, sure, but same shit. I said thank you, Clay.
Clay's gonna
5
tell us we should be
PM.
using
He said
LMGs.
depends on the time.
He's gonna be. Let's just do the shot of the
Bro,
box.
Were you guys? Nah, never mind. I'm about to show my own status. But World of Beer right before the Totino's
here you
event,
go.
Shout out Clay, man.
right before the Clay was fighting, bro.
Yes, he was.
Holy shit!
Shout out the Annihilator, bro.
Oh, shout out the Annihilator. I had a .8 that
Alright.
event. I gave nothing.
All right, bet.
I got that tweet a couple
I
days
gave
ago.
nothing. You were slumped on
this day.
Totino's or what?
Nah, that shit's on Cam. Who was?
I
slumped on
robbed
Totino's.
Nick's MVP that event. Good
Fucking
time.
Wob, bro. What a fucking place.
Clay said he might not be able to make it. He'll try. No way, dude.
That's
I
insane.
mean, what could be
bro.
more important than a GA
Yo,
talk?
I ain't gonna lie, Tom. I don't know how many championships you won with Clay, but spelling his name wrong is crazy.
That is crazy.
Glazer.
My bad. My bad. I typed on it.
Glazer. Good old Glazer,
I
bro.
typed on that shit, bro.
Good old Glazer, bro.
Let me tell him what could be more important than a GA talk. Let me tell him.
All right, so Dylan Lamar should text from fucking C9
All right,
you
let me
sure you
text-
don't want Dante in here?
or Dante, like either or. Pick one.
Dante will say how it is.
Why'd you laugh
Dante
so hard
is
at
good.
that?
Dante is gonna keep it real.
Dill's a little politically correct, bruh.
Dylan definitely is a shrewd politician for sure.
Now Lamar would ban Dante from coming on the stream.
That's true.
We had Dante coming on the fucking flank telling us how to hold spawns on Invasion last year.
that was good.
That shit
Nah,
was
the
hilarious.
funniest Dante thing is when he's like, Skid Row P3, I'm gonna be in Hill.
Yeah.
Kids is gonna be on my God steps.
Yeah.
Paco's gonna be
He's
in
literally
back
breaking
alley.
down full
and
NYSL
and
setups and
Caesar's
shit.
gonna be in apartments. Every
Yo, write that
day.
shit down. Write that
Every
shit down.
time.
You still gotta come kill us. That shit was hilarious.
I mean, I respect that. You know, fucking tell it how it is. They're still
Dante's
nasty.
unintentionally hilarious.
He said, if I look at my mini map and we not in that setup, we're not trying. I'm getting off.
Let's try and think who else. Toronto, obviously, probably
Where's Marcel at, man?
ahead of Marcel for sure. Who are we missing? Who are we missing?
Gentlemen.
Let's just say people are fighting back. Let's just say that people are fighting
Oh.
back.
Oh,
They're fighting back.
But you
Fighting
should
back?
also, well, the thing is, you should also say,
It would
like,
be a
this
shame if
doesn't,
you held your phone
this
up to the
doesn't have to
camera.
be on
Yeah, right. It'd be a shame if you leak those numbers real quick.
Yeah, you could say it's off stream time. I'm down to do this shit off stream too.
Yeah.
They're fighting back.
And then Ben the next day is gonna be like, my sources told me that Rocker was voting for this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Ben's gonna love. He's gonna turn on his.
my
stream bright
source
and early.
said that Dan Looney told everybody to go fuck themselves in the meeting and then stormed out.
Doing it off stream is gonna
Yeah.
get that same old just.
Sounds like
bias.
an NBA Sentel tweet, bro.
Yeah, that shit's gonna be
NBA
funny.
sent all the
You heard what I
count.
said though, Sam? Doing it off stream is gonna give it that bias. Nobody gives a fuck. Just whatever. Yeah, just put the vote in. Fucking pity
Yeah,
vote.
but like at least people will show up.
I mean-
Half the battle is getting them to show up.
Nah,
so.
bro, you just gotta do a like talker stick, bro, like a talk stick.
Hold
Alright,
on,
bro,
hold on,
like-
hold on, hold on,
Discord
hold on.
stage.
I would
No,
say this.
100%. Like, yo, you
Yeah.
have to give your opinion on the
Like,
song.
you
what
have-
are
like, if you
your
wanna vote it
honest
out, you
thoughts
have
on
to
the
give your
song?
opinion.
And then
If-
it's like,
if
okay,
you-
you didn't practice enough with it, you don't have an opinion. Well, then, okay, fine. Well,
Bro,
fine,
if
what's
you
your
get
thoughts?
if
Like,
you get 10 people on and 9 of them vote to walk back the GAs, who cares about the other couple of teams now?
Exactly.
You don't need all 12. You don't need all 12 if there's ends up being 9 votes in the end of it. No.